Less than 30 seconds now in regulation. Could this take extra time? 16 seconds. Here's Dial. Send it up the point, Jay Lalu. Call midget now, but Matt, 6 seconds, 5, Dalfan coming out. He gets around him, 2 seconds. He's got to do it quick. Choose the scores, 1 second left.
And we are live. How's it going, everybody? We're here for the Week 5 episode of the Faceoff. I'm here with Tony. Tony, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. We do actually have a guest with us this time, so it won't be up to the chat this week to provide their stunning insights as they did last week.
Let me just watch the viewers drop as you announce it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll pull the chat just to just to placate a little bit, see how their predictions hold up for this next week. But yeah, we're here with Kiwi this week. So hello, Kiwi, how you doing?
Hello. It's been a really good week so far. I guess it's the end of the week, but looking to make the next week good. Any good news, good thoughts, Dal?
No, I don't really have any after this week. Yeah.
I understand.
I mean, Trump didn't get reelected, so that's
really
good
tough on
news.
you, I know.
That's good news,
but your team lost some games, so it's kind of like
yeah,
my
team should have gone 0-4 this week, and the fact that we didn't was cheese, honestly. So
how would you guys do this week?
What did we do? Well,
I mean, how would you go this week?
Let's put it this way. What didn't we do this week? And the answer would be anything well.
Did you only have one win this week, and it was against LA?
We did. Yep.
Oh,
yep. So
that was such a horseshit.
We had the same record that you guys did this week. Both 1-4, and because you beat us and beat us by more than one goal, technically we were the last place team this week in terms of points earned. But we'll get into all that later. I have plenty of thoughts to share on that one. So this week it'll be me shitting on my team instead of Tony shitting on his team. So we're gonna flip the roles, a little role reversal here.
I'm happy as ever.
Well, yeah, I think that's the first time you guys went 2-0 in a night, right?
Yep, 3-1 in a week.
You got to take what you can get here. So, all right. So let's go through the games of this past week real quick. This week there was some interesting results. A lot of predictions did not do particularly well, and you can tell that because I actually had a winning record on predictions this week. So that typically means that something's not going well. So we opened up the week with a 4-0 win for Toronto over LA. Seattle had a big comeback. This is one we'll have to spend some time on. 8-7 OT victory over Colorado. Boston beat out Toronto 4-2. Seattle lost to New Jersey in a mercy 8-2. And New Jersey carried forward that momentum against Boston, winning 6-2 in that game. And then we ended Tuesday night with a 2-1 victory for Colorado over LA. So I'll throw it to you guys here for the obvious ones. Standout games from that Tuesday?
The Seattle-Colorado one.
Yeah, that's probably the easy choice, I think.
Yep. That was easy. That is, and we'll probably... I don't know if you want to get into it now, but I was just talking to Crab about it today, even that we weren't like happy exactly when we were like, I mean, we were at the end happy we won, but like right after we weren't too thrilled with it, and then we, got smashed by New Jersey, so it was like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense, and so we weren't really happy. But now that like some time has passed and we're looking back, I think that is like the craziest game I've ever played in the LHL.
Yeah, it's certainly up there. I agree and disagree. I think it's one of the worst games
I didn't
ever.
say it was one of the best. I said it was one of the craziest.
Yeah.
Probably the craziest for me.
Crazy is a fitting word for it. I'd be comfortable using that. I wouldn't put any positive spins on that, and that's coming from someone who had 7 points in that game or something. So it was pretty awful. I'll be honest with you. It was pretty fucking awful to do that. Yeah. for those who don't know or may not remember, we being Colorado went up 6-1 in that game and ended up losing 8-7 in overtime. So that should tell you just about all you need to know. And weirdly enough, ever since that loss, Colorado's been fucking shite. Shocking, really. Almost as if it was sort of a warning of what was to come. Almost. Anyway, so that
Treat it like
game
Tuesday.
definitely an outlier. I think Novastar may have been streaming, but I don't believe he had that game. We should have the in-game replay of it.
Oh, has he been
It's
streaming?
he has been streaming some games on some Tuesdays, yeah. Meanwhile,
I didn't
Winters
even know.
has not been streaming on Fridays, so I'm not sure where he's been, but hopefully
Yeah, I
everything's
haven't
going
heard
well
from
for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would take a look on his channel for that. If you don't find it there, you can go ahead and pull that up in the Season 20 replays folder, which we should have a link to in the Discord. Definitely one that is worth watching. I wouldn't really suggest that for most hockey question mark games, as a
You
lot
won't
of the
learn
times.
anything from it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to say you'll learn anything from it, but in terms of a game that is probably really entertaining to watch, I would advise watching that one. Definitely pretty crazy. So beyond that, I didn't think anything else was too shocking. We saw Otto just absolutely go to town on on Seattle and on Boston. He had, I think it was 13 points in that night, so he was just dominating. But that was the last night with his old mouse. And on Friday, he had a new mouse and was held to only 3 points on the day. So
Oh, sad.
we can start talking about the Friday games here. New Jersey, despite only getting 3 points from Otto, only in one game, um, beat out LA 4-2. Seattle beat Boston 5-1. Toronto had a 5-2 win over Colorado. Seattle had a 2-0 win over Ottawa and New Jersey. And Boston had a 3-0 win over Toronto, and then LA had a 4-1 win over Colorado. So same thing as we did for Tuesday. Any big games that jump off the slate to you guys there?
I don't want to say it, but
You can
Yeah,
say it. You can say it.
I like Colorado game. I
yeah.
was pretty pissed about the how the game before on Tuesday went down, the 2-1 loss. For those of you who didn't see it, I missed a crucial breakaway with a minute left to put LA up 2-0, but I missed it, so we were still up 1-0. Quacky scored with 16 seconds left, and then off the face-off, there's a chance that gets blocked up in the air and lands onto Dial's stick, and it goes in the net with 6 seconds left. So it's a
Hell of a
two-goal
shot,
swing.
though.
Yeah, it was a nice shot. To be honest, it was a nice shot, but
yeah, but it was a physics that
it was
landed.
it, yeah, it was
in
physics that
front of the
landed right.
net to Dial. Yep.
So LA could have got 2 wins this week, which would have been really important. So it was really nice to get that win, especially personally for me after missing so many fucking chances.
It was deserved. We did not deserve to win that game on Tuesday against you guys, so that was the hockey gods smiling down on you and saying, "Here you go, you earned this."
I'll take 3 more points as well.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I think that's the big one. The other one that kind of surprised me, or I guess two, was really both Seattle games. Honestly, I did pick Seattle to win. I think both their games last week, or this past Friday anyway. But I did not expect it to be in quite the dominant fashion that they did it. They looked really good and basically just dominated Paco and Boston and didn't really allow much, and then went up against Otto and completely shut him down. So it was pretty quality showing from a team that's been pretty inconsistent so far this season. So it was nice to see that, especially as a team that's right on the edge of a playoff spot. Makes the playoff race a lot more interesting, and it certainly gives them a bit more credibility if they do get into the playoffs to potentially push through the semis and actually make a finals appearance. So good to see them finally string a few together here and show what they're actually capable of. And we'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about your team, but I think part of it was getting a little more out of BG than you guys have been recently. What would you say to that, Tony? I mean, he doubled his point total on the season, so
Yeah, but his points, especially his goal, they weren't like, I don't know, it wasn't anything crazy point wise. I think he kind of was doing what he's trended in the right direction, but he was kind of doing what he's been doing defensively, or on the defensive side of things. I mean, so I think it's kind of a lot of the rest of us, Crab and DMB, were going. Crab is doing really good right now. So I wasn't particularly good on Tuesday or Friday, for that matter. But I don't know. It seems like it was just clicking a little bit. Goose had a couple of key stops. He didn't make that many saves, or he didn't have to make that many saves on Friday, but like the ones he did were important. So
And
that's a
that's
big thing.
and that's sort of where I was going with that is like you mentioned Goose not having to make a whole lot of stops. I do give credit to you guys defensively for that. It wasn't like Goose went out there both games and just completely, stole it. I don't think he had more than like 3 or 4 saves in each game individually, and you guys let up a combined 1 goal. So that speaks to a lot of your ability to handle Otto in particular defensively, and as Paco as well, and Ike who's able to put the moves on. So giving credit to you and BG there for that. But
Yeah.
like you said, Crab had a incredible week. He had like 12 or 13 points over the course of the week. So it was a big turnaround from him. And that's, I think, really been the key factor that sort of spurred you guys on to a 3-in-1 week.
Yep. Yeah, Crab is definitely the one who's kind of taken to the next level. DMB's doing really well on like an all-around thing. Like we talk about defensively, and you probably look at like, oh, well, the defense didn't get it. Oh, Crab's good defensively, but DMB is really helpful at stripping guys and backchecking, and like he
You
was
heard it here
big
first.
against
DMB is
Otto.
really good at stripping guys. That is
Yeah.
primo right there.
It's a hot take. Come
If he
here
ever
for.
we
wants to,
probably don't stop Otto without him.
if he ever wants to teach me how to strip dudes, I'm happy to oblige there. All right. Since we've been talking about Seattle, shall we get into that and start with them for the team by team review? Does that work
Yeah,
for you
as long
guys?
as Kiwi's okay with it.
Go for it.
Okay, so let's start there. Let me pull up the rosters here. Here we go. So, what was I gonna say? As we said, 3-in-1 week for you guys. You guys had some pretty big wins against some of the competition that you've been like sort of competing with for that 4th seed spot or 3rd seed spot. You guys are 1 point out of 4th seed at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it was a big week. I think we talked about last week, sort of, or on the last episode, right? Sort of what this week would mean for you guys going into the trade deadline coming up. What
Hold on,
the
wait
result.
1 sec. I'm getting word. What? Okay, I'm getting word from our producers right now. Okay, yeah, I am confirming this is correct. Guy LaFleur has been traded to Seattle. I'm still waiting on the full details, but Guy LaFleur is now on the Seattle Sockeyes.
Dude, what
Oh
a
my
poggers
God.
moment.
Can we
Hey.
get BOC to review this? BOC?
Yeah, sorry, it has been confirmed already. The trade
Okay.
is Guy and Iskin for Payne.
Hmm.
Wow.
Okay. So what is this our 3rd trade of the season? Right?
I don't know.
I think it's
Yes.
our 3rd because I
Yeah.
think we had the Gouch Doucette trade.
And
Then
then
we
there's a
had
three-way
the
trade.
then we
That's
had
sort
the
of 2
3-way
trades.
trade. Yep. And now we've got our 3rd trade of the season. Okay, so Guy to Seattle along with
Guy
Iskin,
and
reuniting Iskin, Crab, DMB, and Goose, the season 1 veteran team. Meanwhile,
reuniting
Payne goes
Tony,
to
Crab,
Colorado.
BG, Guy, and Goose from Cleveland.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. All right. I'm having to like sort of process this live as this is okay.
Well, Guy only has 3 games, right? So what is it? Is he
Yes,
gonna
sir.
play?
Yes.
So
So Guy
is
can only play 12 games this season in the regular season, and we had used him for 9. So he has 3 games left he could play in the regular season, and then his surgery happens right after the first night of the playoffs. So he will be able to play in basically those 2 games at the very start of the playoffs, and then that'll be it. So he has in total, including playoffs, 5 games left, assuming Seattle makes it.
And his sign-up doesn't say that he can play goalie now, right?
Oh, it does.
It does. He can play goalie.
Oh,
And
that is
I was
not what the
supposed to
stat
share,
sheet shows.
But well, that the stat sheet were just written in that by cap of what he assumed people were gonna play.
To be fair, mine doesn't have goalie as well.
Yeah.
So okay.
But yeah, so Guy, and I don't know if I'm supposed to tip the hand. It doesn't really matter. I'm thinking Guy is going to be playing net on Tuesday, a couple of Tuesdays.
3 Tuesdays to be exact.
Yeah, 3 Tuesday games.
Yeah,
Makes
I mean,
sense.
that makes sense. There's what, 3 Tuesdays and 2 Fridays left in the regular season, I believe, at
Yep.
this point. So you guys have
And
Goose
I
for
think,
4 games.
actually, Goose, he's gonna, if we make the playoffs, he's gonna take those Tuesdays off, which everybody probably who would know that knows it because he said it in the signups.
Yep.
But now that we have Guy, the playoffs start on a Tuesday. I think the plan might be Goose takes the final Tuesday of the regular season off instead, and Guy plays that first Tuesday of the playoffs.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see the logic there.
So Goose plays 2 instead. So for our next 6 Tuesday games, Goose is in for 2 of them, and Guy's in for 3.
All right, Kiwi, since you're the only one of the 3 of us that's not directly impacted by this, what are your thoughts on this trade? Who do you think comes out the early winner here?
I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it definitely helps. I think there's talks of Guy coming to LA potentially, and I thought, that'd be great because it could help give LA some 3 wins that can help start a playoff push, a more serious playoff push. So I see the same logic for Seattle, although I don't think he's as obviously as powerful or impactful if he's in net. I mean, we know why he's gonna play net, but I think
Do
I
we?
think it's
I
good.
mean, because Goose isn't there, right? That's why he's
Yeah,
gonna play net.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I think Guy is definitely he has I don't know he plays goalie so weird, but he somehow is so good at it. Like he always is like it always looks like he's not facing the shot the right way,
Yep.
but he somehow does it.
Yep.
So that's not gonna be fun. I don't know. I can't really think of any problems I could lead to. It's definitely gonna help their not breakout necessarily, but just having a goalie that can play it is always something really good.
It's a big change from what
I don't know.
they're used to at this point too. So
Yeah, I don't know if Cap
Goose,
is
yeah,
planning
Goose
on
playing
starting.
the puck there yesterday was a big thing.
I don't know if Cap is planning on starting Payne. I've seen Cap in pubs and he's looked good. He's looked like how he normally does. Like obviously nothing like insane, but he's not bad by any means. So I don't think I'm not sure if the right move is to play Payne over him. I don't really know how Payne plays, but I don't
Payne
know.
is
I think Cap
in
and
the Sunday
Marchie.
Hockey League. He's the leading scorer, and it's
yeah.
not really close, like
he's
points per game wise.
he's been dominating the Sunday night league. So
Interesting.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't think Cap is bad by any means. I think him and Marchie just have to figure out how they're going to play together. More so,
If
like
I know
individual problems.
rather than coming on my team, if I was just taken away, and I don't know what the plan is on Cap's mind, I just knew Crab wanted to make this trade, which is the thing I said earlier when I said, "Oops, I shouldn't type this in here in the chat with you two."
I knew it. I knew it was a
literally
trade that
typing to
I
Crab about
fucking
this
knew it.
trade. Anyway, if I were wagering, and we'll get into it a little more when we're talking about Colorado, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Cap and Payne on D together. Also,
Over
shout out Doc.
Marchie. Well, we
Oh,
can probably shit talk Marchie because he's not going to listen.
yeah,
to
he's
this,
not
right?
gonna listen to this, so we can shit talk. But I'm gonna
I don't
save
know.
it for when we're on
Yeah.
Colorado.
Yeah, we'll get into the Colorado side of things when we get to we can do them next to make it easier. But yeah, at least from a Seattle perspective, I don't see any downside here. You do lose what is likely your best backup or most consistent backup because Ghost has been pretty difficult to get a hold
Yeah.
of so far this season. It seems to be, right?
Yeah, I think before this trade happened, Goose talked to Germs and told him, get ready because you're kind of the number one backup here. We haven't
Yeah.
had to use a backup yet, which is kind of an issue we had with Payne, where well, not all. I think a lot of people know Payne can start and is capable of that, and especially
See,
anybody who's
I
watched
don't
them
know
just
if I agree
rip
with
up the
that.
backups.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think
Well, maybe not start, but I think he's good enough that he should have got in a couple of games.
look,
In
look,
any other
so
season, I
so
think he gets in some games
let,
by
let
this
me
point.
clarify what I mean by that. It's not a commentary on whether or not he's good enough to start. That's not what the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is you suggesting that people know he's capable of starting. I don't
Yeah,
think a
that is the
lot of
problem. Yeah,
people know that. I don't think a lot of people appreciate or
no, they don't.
understand to the extent that Payne is capable of playing right now. And I think he's getting fairly slept on by a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
people.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this
I'm
is not
people.
just me trying to make the trade sound like
No, that's how
we
yeah,
didn't get traded, raped, or anything. But
Yeah, the trade
yeah,
rape already happened on that three-way trade, right?
yeah.
yeah. Payne probably should have got in some games by this point, and hopefully he will on Colorado. Struggling Colorado, I'm thinking Payne helps you guys, and you don't really lose anything you were using, so it doesn't really hurt. Like if you don't want to use him, you don't have to, and you haven't lost any starters or all that.
Yeah, that's kind of my gut feeling on this trade is that I think you guys definitely won because you have another person you can stick in net that's a bit more reliable, a little bit more consistent. Not for all
And
the
can
games
long
on,
bomb the fucking thing like
yeah,
a maniac.
obviously not for all the games on Tuesdays, right? But probably one game every Tuesday, like you said. So at least gives you a little bit more of a buffer to work with because right now the way things have been trending, it's almost like it's almost like you guys are coming into Tuesdays expecting to go 1-1 at best.
Yeah.
And for a team that's on the outside looking in, it's really hard to come into half your game days, or at this point 60% of your game days that are left, and come in with that mentality to it. And I'm sure you can talk to it a little bit more. It is a little bit deflating and a little bit hard to
Yeah.
maintain your motivation when you sort of have that big question mark that you know is probably going to hold you back.
Yeah, and I feel bad because, like, obviously you and me are buddies with Eric. We like Eric as much as it's fun to shit on him. But it wasn't getting it done. He's got to practice more. He's got to be more consistent. He's got to get to the level which I think a lot of people who remember season 19 kind of can remember him having a good little streak there. And he was good in the RSL the season before, and it's just I think a lack of playing that's really kind of messing with him.
I
Yeah,
mean,
go ahead, Kiwi.
I was just gonna say, it's just the way he plays. Like I had shot at him for a little bit, and I just feel like I don't know. I feel like the most successful goalers are people that are like tracking a shot as it comes in, and like you're preparing for it. When I was shooting him, it kind of what I noticed was like his stick was just low, and he was just waiting for the shot to come, and you just try to smack it. It's like can't you gotta have like anticipate stuff a little more than that. So I don't know. It could just be the way he plays. I don't, again, that could be like him being out of it, but
I mean, I
Yeah.
find that interesting to hear because I've spent a decent amount of time discussing with other people and with Eric himself, sort of the ways in which he plays the game, as Delphin's saying in chat, and the ways in which he could potentially improve. And it's interesting to hear it come from somebody who's actually a goalie and not just a goalie, but one of the best goalies to ever play. So hearing your insight on that, I think is a lot more meaningful than anything Tony or I or somebody else could speculate on. But I definitely agree with sort of what you're saying as somebody who has shot on him before. He doesn't seem to have the same ability to anticipate or predict
yeah,
where a shooter is going to go with it. He shows flashes of it from time to time, but it's incredibly inconsistent. And I think the biggest problem he has is that he one doesn't practice enough and doesn't believe he needs to practice more or something. And two, I don't think he listens enough to some of the constructive feedback that he has gotten in the past. I know he's spoken to people like Dalf about playing goalie, and Dalf is also an incredibly proficient goaltender, so it's somebody that I would take advice from if I were in his position, but it sounds like he really hasn't responded or received that well. And I think until he sort of gets out of his own head, so to speak, he's going to keep finding himself in a similar situation. And Tony, you mentioned it. It's difficult to say these things, right? Because we like Eric a lot, but at the end of the day, that really is you can't really cut it any other way, right?
Hmm.
And I think Eric would at least be willing to acknowledge that he hasn't played well enough to warrant you guys not seeking an alternative to at
Right.
least try out in net and see if there's any improvement there. So
maybe that's the problem. Maybe you guys are too good of friends with Eric. Maybe if he feels like he wouldn't be able to play with you guys unless he got a little better, then maybe that would help. A little extra motivation.
I mean, this might be the motivation he needs, but like Tony said,
I thought having the spot would have been the motivation enough to really get, but like you don't see him like 6 out of the 7 days of the week
yeah,
on HQM where
yeah.
you see everybody else. You see like Stu Walton's working. Doc's
Ooh,
pointing out in chat.
I mean,
that
look,
was easy to
that's
He's
trade.
good at
you know,
goalie. It is
not
true. Doc's pretty good.
not to trash
Working
on
hard.
not to trash on Stu or anything, but if Stu's outworking you and out practicing you, like you're not dedicated to the game. There's no other way to
Yeah,
cut that.
this has changed recently. I think
Yeah,
I think Stu would have been
Stu's working
a
at
really
it.
hot trade target for Seattle. I'm surprised they didn't go after him.
We looked at it and couldn't get him.
Couldn't get a deal done with Austin. Color me surprised.
Yeah.
I'll
He didn't want to help us out. Didn't want to give Stu a home, and we had to look elsewhere to an unconventional spot.
feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be
Also, your team
interesting
picked up
to.
Super.
This is definitely going to be a change when it gets to predictions later. I'm interested to see, especially for a lot of the Tuesday games, how that winds up shaping some of the predictions from all of us and including people in chat as well. So yeah, I think you guys definitely got a clear win out of this. I think that goes without saying.
I don't know. I wouldn't call.
My only concern would be if you guys are missing 1 to 2 starters on a game day.
That's exactly, yeah.
We don't know where Germs is at right now in terms of his ability to play. Obviously, he showed a quality ability to play in the past, but that was a long time ago. I haven't seen him in any pubs or anything. I haven't seen him in
He
any
scrimmed
scrims
with
or
us on one day.
yeah. So
like a week and a half ago, maybe.
I'd need to see a little bit more out of him to feel a little more comfortable with that, or I'd need to see Ghost actually show up for once when you guys need him, because that seems
That's
to
been a
have
problem.
yeah
Yeah.
have been a major pain here. No pun intended, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
I know.
think
I
on
wouldn't
the
call it a
whole,
one trade. This isn't to me a trade. It's a win or lose for either. It was kind of a backup swap, even though one of them's guy and you guys were using him.
right, just I think there's a
Yeah.
clear need for that backup position for you guys because you're playing that backup every other day.
Yeah.
So
But
there's a
I
clear
think
need
there's a
for
world
that.
where Payne ends up starting on Colorado. And again, we can get
True.
more into that if you want to save it. But
Well, I mean, all right, let's finish out the Seattle discussion.
yeah.
We started to touch on, so outside of the trade, we started to touch on a little bit when we were reviewing the past week games, sort of how this week went for you guys. You guys went 3-1, really big. Again, 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. You're 1 point behind, I believe it's Boston, and I think you guys either have the head-to-head or are leading in the series 2-1 with Boston. I don't remember exactly, but I believe it's close. So it's looking like if you guys can at least tie them in points, you have a very good chance of actually taking their spot or overtaking them. And Boston has actually been pretty up and down. I feel like every game day they just win one and lose one, like
Mhm.
every game day. So, but yeah, you guys are, I think, set up well now to keep chasing Boston, especially if they're going to continue having some potential attendance issues. I don't know where Dragon Dalfer had gone for that one day, but if you see some of that start to happen again, especially them not having the sort of solidity on the back end with Taze, I could definitely see them dropping a couple more games if they don't have the opportunity to play their full starters. So you guys are, despite being 1 point out of the playoffs, you guys are in a good spot. Kiwi,
Alright.
any final thoughts on Seattle here?
I think this is just a classic Crab team that kind of underperforms in the beginning, starts to find its footing about halfway through the season, and makes a serious push to the playoffs. It was like season 15 Chicago. Same thing happened there. I don't think it happened with season 13 Nashville. I think we were just kind of good.
I
from
think
the beginning.
Nashville was
It's
right out of the gate. But
it's
I mean,
actually
crap, that's a Zam team.
It's a Zam team.
am
Yeah.
I misremembering, or has this kind of been a bit of a trend for Crab teams in the
I
last
swear,
few
isn't it?
seasons, where they are no longer like a first or seed team the whole season? They're like a fourth or fifth, and then work their way into like a playoff spot, do decently well, and then don't win it.
Yeah,
That
I think
seems to be
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
that seems to be the new MO for Crab teams. So, and
Yeah,
I
same kind of the same thing.
here's the question I want to pose to you specifically, Kiwi, because Tony,
Too
you're too
biased.
biased in this, but do you think this is because there aren't as many GMs that Crab can weasel this season? Because I
Crab
think that's a big
is
part of it.
a weasel. Crab, I don't like Crab, and I think there's a couple GMs
You
that
don't
I'm
like
worried we can
Crab.
take advantage of. I love Crab, but I
He
don't like
means
how
like
Crab's
GM
GM.
Crab.
I'm surprised that Crab was even with Cap and Crab were even able to make a trade without Crab just fucking bending him over. Because I don't know, Crab doesn't like agree to a trade unless he's like absolutely fucking demolishing someone on
From
it. So
from the offers I've seen so far between him and Cap, it definitely seems like standard Crab affair. Like you said, I'm not gonna make this trade unless I'm a clear win and you look like an idiot for
yeah,
doing it. Those are the only trades Crab usually accepts. Which is the only thing I would potentially criticize him on is that sometimes in situations like this, I think he needs to be a little bit more willing to take a flyer on some trades that are a little less conventional, a little more risky. But
yeah.
then again, he is one of the best, if not the best GM that we've ever had in the history of the LHL. So you really can't criticize him too much for being able to get things done.
Yeah, he was offering, he was just messaging me around. He's like, you want ghosts or germs? I'm like, do these people even show up? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Standard Crab affair there. So
that's why I'm worried for some of the GMs in this league that Crab's gonna start talking to him and we're gonna see something dangerous.
yeah, I mean, look, with the way
He's a
that
bastard. He could flip any of us at the deadline if he thinks it's gonna
yeah,
improve the team even a little.
he could, and he's usually willing to make moves like that you wouldn't necessarily expect. But again, they're always the same thing. Even if he's giving up a piece that you don't think he's going to move, he's always giving that up and getting something significant back in return that turns it into a win for him. And that's something that basically no other GMs are capable of doing at this point. So, or at least have been capable of doing with the level of consistency that he has done so and pulled it
Yeah.
off against multiple GMs and multiple seasons and everything. So,
I mean, he's kind of a genius for waiting until now when it's, would you say there's 3 Tuesdays and 2 Fridays?
mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy can just fill in for all the Tuesdays. So it's a good hold out there because I think this trade was kind of something that was brewing for a bit, and then I believe there
So
was some
there
backouts.
was a somewhat similar trade that we had in place with them for a while, but it did not involve Payne at all, actually, I don't think. And I don't even remember if Guy was a part of it. He might have been, but there was a different trade with different pieces that was on the table for a little while, and that kind of went back and forth for like almost a week and a half before it finally fell through officially, like today or yesterday or something, and that's how we ended up getting this one here. So the talks have been there for quite some time.
Yeah. I think the guy in net on Crab's radar came today. Crab messaged me like early in the afternoon at some point and said, "Hey, how about this? I think we can do this." And he kind of broke down the days and how it would make sense. And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
So so funny story in the draft actually, that is one of the plans that Cap and I had talked about was what if we end up having to pick Goose at goalie? What do we do
Mm.
for the other days? And we had talked about Para, we had talked about Eric, and the other candidate that we had talked about was potentially Guy because he can only play half the games anyway, and he's a very proficient goalie, and we figured he'd fall in the draft. So that was actually something that we had planned out and strongly considered from the get-go. The draft worked out to the point where we got skis, so that wasn't really in the cards. But if we had Goose, you probably would have seen Guy in net, assuming he was okay with it anyway for the course of the season, and Goose alternating for us. So it is kind of interesting to see that situation end up playing out on a different team. So especially with somebody who's not known for playing goalie, but knew that that was something that he is really good at.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, should we move on to Colorado?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
sure.
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with you guys for the unbiased opinions on Colorado first, and then I'll get into my own after that. But so we went 1-3 this week, only win against LA, also lost one against LA, and as Kiwi described earlier, the one win was pretty cheesy, pretty undeserved. So for us to lose the second game was karma in action there. Beyond that, we got smashed by Toronto and blew an incredibly embarrassing game against Seattle that really should have been a mercy. and ultimately turned into an OT loss. So a really poor week for Colorado for our standards as players, but also for the team's standards for how we performed up to this point in the season. Coming into this week, we were 10-1, and we come out with a 1-3 record here. So yeah, not great, not great at all. And you guys were both on the winning side against us in in two of those three games. So
Hell
I'll,
yeah.
I'll throw it
Whoops.
to you guys first, like I said, before I give my input. But what do you guys think's going wrong so far?
You want to go first, Kiwi?
Yeah, when I go for it, I just want to clarify something because I made a power ranking post in the beginning of the season, and I feel like people are bringing like I don't want anyone to pull that card and say like a gotcha moment. Like, I didn't think Colorado was going to be a shitty team by any means from the beginning. I just thought one, I didn't think Marchi was going to show up at all. Two, I kind of expected after Guy, I expected if Guy were not to show, the defense would have been Cap and Doc because again Marchi not showing up. So I kind of I think there's one person in particular. I think Austin was thinking that there wouldn't be a drop off in performance.
Me too,
Um,
actually.
yeah, I don't know. It's not like again. I said this before. Like Cap's not bad by any means. I saw him in a pub and he was doing really well. So I was like, okay, he's gonna fill in well. But I think it's just playing with Marchi, who traditionally plays a little bit more back, and one he's not as dedicated and he's not as focused as he probably should be. So it's probably hard for Cap to jump into that lineup and gel with Marchi. So I think that's going to take some time. Whether or not they put Payne in to help fix that for either Cap or Marchi, we'll see. But I don't know. It's just that back end and your guys' like offense, like it like the one thing I was worried about without guys, like you guys wouldn't really be able to break it out that well. And in our game against you guys, it was like I was just telling like Zam and Taze like just dump the puck. Like we're forechecking hard on them. We're gonna be able to either force like just shitty dumps or something. Like and then that was working pretty well. Like there's one play in particular you guys like burned like 30 seconds just trying to rim it around the D zone, and then we end up getting the puck. So it was like just you guys just burned time to do essentially nothing. So I think that was the problem is Cap and Marchi aren't really gelling well.
They're not
But
connecting up
yeah,
when they are moving it up. Like it's not hitting Dial or it's
yeah.
not hitting Quacky.
And to be fair, I mean, Dial, like you're the perfect person to be on a team that is having trouble breaking out because it's like you just throw it up there and you'll
Yeah.
try to receive
It's
it.
still dangerous. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. Like every dump
yeah.
or like that long shot they get like that is dangerous because either Dial will receive it or he'll tap it and Quacky will be there to pick up the scraps and shit like that. So it's still not like like that's what I just found is that you guys were relying on that too much because that natural like transition wasn't working as well, or like the possession wasn't working too much,
Yeah.
and we were comfortable with dumping it because we figured we could force out those long passes that we could break up anyway. So I think it was just that mainly.
Probably
Um,
missing the shot first mentality from Guy too.
yeah,
Not only
yeah.
is
I
he
mean,
good, like Guy being good is one thing, but
like yeah,
he's completely different than Cap or Marchi and
yeah.
how
Like
he
guy, like I
plays.
don't know. Like people that are thinking that this team wouldn't change when Guy was gone, I think or I don't know. Guy's like insane at one. I mean, he's amazing forward, but I think he's arguably better at D. I think he just has the mind for the game, and he's the extendo twig.
Oh yeah, it sucks trying to get around him.
So long story short, I think this might take some time. I think it's not all doom. I think there could be some things that can get ironed out in time, and maybe having Payne there to push Cap or Marchi. I mean, to be honest, I think if you just tell Marchi, hey, we're gonna put Payne in over you, he's gone for the season. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that, but I don't know. I think that is something that could be worked out. I don't think it's like all necessarily. It's just a shift from Guy to that. I think mainly it's going to be obviously not as strong, but I don't think you guys can really play the same way you're playing before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if we're gonna break in what's wrong, it's obviously losing Guy, but I don't think it's necessarily Cap coming in and replacing Guy. Like I did stats for both of the games
Yeah,
yesterday, and like it is visibly Marchi is causing problems on that back end when he has the puck. Like he's not doing good things with it, and he's not making smart plays, and he's not making good plays. Which Marchi he even when he was at his best, he wasn't always making smart plays, but he was good, so it didn't really matter. Like he could make dumb things work, and he can't do that anymore because he doesn't practice. He doesn't give a shit. So uh, Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Marchie out, but I don't know. Not to give anything. I mean, the inside scoop I was getting talking to Quacky and Cap sounds like that Quacky might be switching to defense.
I was gonna say that could be an option. I don't know
Yeah,
if they would feel so strongly to change that because I mean Cap and Dial play well together up front, so
yeah,
it's not like
exactly.
a
I think Quacky would help the breakout a lot. He's
yeah.
a pretty smart player. I think people don't give him the credit, maybe defensively, that he probably deserves. Like he's a good two-way player,
Just
kind
having
of.
someone who can
Yeah,
confidently carry a puck is huge because if you make one guy miss, then it opens up a shit ton. So
yeah, exactly.
I didn't think that was. I didn't honestly didn't think that was something Cap would be willing to do. Split up Dial and Quacky, but I don't think it's the wrong. I don't think it's a bad thing
Yeah,
to try
or
for
like
sure.
not even split him up, but maybe just Quacky play a lot more defensively and Cap kind of rotate with him. You know, they could do kind of a fluid thing with Cap and Quacky, probably. I'm not 100%. Like, I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but I know that's something they were talking about.
So
And
the
probably
fluid
wouldn't be a bad
rotations
idea.
is basically what we were doing when we had a guy in there.
Yeah.
Guy would cycle up, one of Quackuriah cycles back, and Marchie comes up and plays offensively a lot. So again, another situation where one of us would come back. So all four of us were kind of all over the ice a lot, or three of us because I don't leave the other team's offensive zone. So the three of them were rotating a lot. Uh, so it's definitely been a little bit different, and Cap is yet another forward turn defenseman that would fit in a similar style of that. So you would think that in theory we'd still be able to play that way. Cap is, in my opinion, in the sense of somebody light guy that can play offense and defense pretty well. He sort of fits that mold, albeit not to the same level of ability at one end or the other. So that is certainly in the cards, but like you said, I think it's pretty obvious that Cap and Marchie haven't been working well together at all. And as a result, that really fucks with the breakout and then kind of puts us in a difficult spot. And I think you've seen that pretty clearly. We've been 3-3 without guys so far, so we've split the games. One of those we deserve to win, one of those we deserve to lose. So you can, say 3-3 regardless of the outcome of the LA game or the Seattle game, whatever that shit is. So, but yeah, so it hasn't been terrible. It's not like we're, winless without Guy, can't figure it out or anything, but it's clearly trending in the wrong direction. We definitely miss having the over 2 shots a game that Guy was generating playing, defense. So you bring that in or switch that in with Cap. Cap's got 3 shots in the 6 games that he's been in for since Guy's been out. So going from 21 shots in those 9 games to 3 shots in 6 games at that position is a big drop in terms of offensive production. But it's not just the shots from him, it's the shots from Quacky and I that are not able to sort of maintain the pace that we were earlier in the season. You can see we're still shooting over 10 a game, but if you were to look at the last 6 games without Guy, it's closer to like 7.5 shots a game, I think, 7.8 or something like that. So it is a massive difference in offensive production in total, and I think you sort of feel that in all phases of the game. So as far as what's
Yeah.
going to change, tough to say. We've been sitting down and looking through it and trying to figure out. Well, and we were trying to figure it out even, 4 games ago before this week happened, ways that we could improve. And then obviously there's a lot
Yeah, I
of
remember you guys weren't thrilled with how you played on like
No, our,
whenever
our
that
our
was, the
first day
Friday. Yeah.
without Guy, we were not pleased with how we played, so we went back to try to look and figure out what we could do better, and that resulted in us having an even worse record and going 1-3. So, because at least those 2 games we played without Guy, we still won both, even though we weren't thrilled with them. But obviously, the problems have continued, and at the moment, we haven't found a great solution as to how to fix that. So unfortunately, Tuesday is not going to be a great demonstration of how things might change because it sounds like we're going to be down Quacky on Tuesday. So we're probably looking at more of the same thing for yet another game day, which is going to really make it difficult for us to hold on to the first seed at this point.
Speaking of,
Interesting.
please be Boston on Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. Do that.
Well, Quacky carries me, so with him not there, and with Guy not there, and with Marchie there, it's
Oh,
not
but
looking good.
Payne. You tell me Payne's making his LHL debut on Tuesday?
There's a good chance of it, yeah. As
Oh
of
my
right now,
God.
Quacky will not be there, so it's gonna be Payne/Doc, and if Marchie shows up, because he can't make every single game, he's missed one so far. Um,
It might be
if
both.
yeah, it might be both.
Uh,
So you definitely could see a world where it's Cap and I on offense and Doc and Payne on defense
we Dial on
on
D and
on Tuesday.
Payne up scoring over 3 a game,
Look, if
like he
he's
does in
gonna
Sunday
score
League.
at that pace, I'll fucking play D for him. Hell yeah. It won't be pretty, but I'll do it. So anyway, yeah, trending in the wrong direction. I think it's pretty clear to say. So I think most people anticipated that there would be some kind of change in the way that our team played and the level of success we'd find once we didn't have Guy anymore. And I think it's unreasonable to assume that we would have been able to maintain the 90% win rate that we were at for a little while there. Like obviously at some point that's going to come back down to earth. Even the Calgary teams didn't win that much. It was like 75% or something. So regressing back to the mean a little bit is not too surprising, but the manner in which it's happening is not like we're, getting our karma back or anything. We're just playing like shit all across the board, and that we can't really blame that on anybody else. And I think in a lot of these games, as much as other teams are playing well against us, we're beating ourselves more than anything else. So, all right. Any other
Yeah, that's
thoughts
fair.
on Colorado?
Yeah, use Payne. He deserves to get his game in. He hasn't played. He's never played in the LHL. Crazy.
Well,
I guess
Tuesday
he has
might be
kind of
the
gotten real
day.
good since we stopped.
I just
Tuesday
beat
might
Boston
be the
That's
day.
my thought. Beat Boston.
Well,
Payne's gonna fucking rip one.
let's go to Boston next. Should we chat about
Okay.
them?
Oh yeah.
All right, so Kiwi, I'm gonna throw this to you because I think if I remember correctly, you had some takes about Boston that you wanted to share.
Um, yeah,
Some
I'm
hairline
just
takes, maybe.
no
No,
hairline
no, no,
takes.
no.
I don't talk about other brothers like that.
Gotcha,
Not
gotcha.
anymore. I learned my lesson. Um, no. Obviously a big thing is the trade, three-way trade. So, I'll tell my side of that story. Is
Have we, by the way, have we talked since that? I don't remember if the last face-off happened
I don't think so.
before that trade. Okay.
So
Yeah, I think it happened right before it, didn't it? Because didn't that come out later that night or like Monday the
I
following
don't
day or
remember.
something
something?
like that.
Um,
So
so
I
Kiwi,
mean,
you
I guess
wanna
I'll
you
use
wanna
some of
go
this
over
time.
what the trade was for us first, real quick, so we have some
So
context.
the trade was a three-way trade. So every team gave up. Well, nah, there was like starter, some backups involved. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can pull it up.
The
Okay,
the
so there was
three
a
teams
three-way trade
involved
between
each gave up
Boston.
2 players. Yep.
Yeah, so it was Boston, LA, and Toronto, and it was Little Owl and I'm not Stamkos, both from two different teams, Toronto and LA, going to Boston. LA got Taze and Jeetler. Toronto got Lalu and Migo Meepo. So Boston, if we're going to talk about Boston now, they gave up Taze and Migo, right? They had Migo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so Taze and Migo, and they got Owl and Stamkos. So, I don't know. I really am just confused. How this happened, like, me and Zam have been talking, like, nonstop, just talking about trades and potential options and things like that. And, um, like, this, like, something just came up, like, hey, like, Sully and KP were talking about a Taze for Owl trade. And KP, like, comes to Zam saying, hey, do you want, like, throw Lalu in there and you can get Taze? Like, sure, like, fuck it. And I know it doesn't really make sense, like, why would LA trade their... I don't want to get too into, like, LA's part of it, but I don't know. It was just, like, this trade that LA just kind of hopped in on. So it was just kind of weird that this talk was already going on. I don't get why. I know Boston was kind of trending. They had, like, one bad day, and they were kind of
Kind of been
tied for fourth.
inconsistent the whole time, which they still are even after the trade.
Yeah, but
But
I think Taze and Dalf played really well together in a way that I don't think Owl's going to be able to step up. Like, I don't think
it
Owl's...
hasn't looked like it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, Owl, I think, is doing better than a lot of people thought he would.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I think Dalf is pretty offensive already, so him and Taze went really well together. I don't agree with the assessment that Owl is better than Taze, so I'm not sure why Sully wanted to do that. Um,
I kind
especially
of
fit
I
wise.
kind of feel the same
especially fit
way.
wise.
I didn't see why Boston got involved in that trade at all, to be honest. I can't say it hasn't or has worked out for them because in typical Boston fashion so far this series, I think they've gone 500 since the trade happened, which has just been their MO all season. So it's hard to tell whether or not it really worked out, but I don't think they I guess the reason why they probably did it is that they didn't have a ton of offense generation outside of Paco, and I could certainly see that, they probably wanted to get a little bit more out of Drag in particular, or really their second forward, and that just wasn't happening. So I could understand them wanting to bring in somebody else that's more offensively oriented, that has some skill that could potentially create a little bit more opportunities for the team. But I think what they gave up in terms of their, one of their best players in Tejas wasn't worth it to me. I don't think they needed to make that move, and I think it creates as many problems as it solves. Owl's been playing well this season. He's been demonstrating that he is capable of playing at an LHL level, and you have to give him that. But the level of defensive responsibility that he shows versus what Taze shows, there's a clear disparity between the two of them, in my opinion. And I think Taze just has that edge because of the experience and because of his success for so long. He just understands at an innate level like how to play defense properly in the LHL and how to position himself in the right place all the time. And yeah, Owl has a bit more skill and offensive upside, but Taze finds a way to put up points every season. It's not like he's that far behind Owl in terms of point generation typically. So I just kind of didn't really see the need for them to do it.
Yeah, that's like I don't know. It didn't really make sense. I think they lost a few, or like that was when they were tied with Boston at 15 points each. I think so. It just didn't. Maybe Sully was feeling pressure from that. Maybe it was just wanting to shake things up. I don't really know why Toronto did it, but I don't think they really improved or got worse. More so, I just think Boston might have gotten a little worse.
So I mean, that was my assessment of the trade when it came out, is sort of like why. And I didn't really understand it from any team's perspective, in all honesty. I think LA was probably the biggest winner of the trade, but at the same time, I think not to, disparage you at all, Kiwi, but I think you guys were so far out of it at that point that the likelihood of you making it to the playoffs was basically gone, and I think that's still probably the case. You
Hmm.
guys are just so far down, and I know there's still 10 games. That's 30 points on the table for you guys to get, and obviously, if you get the majority of them, you're in a really good spot. But you basically need to go like 8-2 the rest of the way in order to actually, have a chance at getting into the playoffs here from this point. And with being 4 wins effectively behind the next team above you, it's it's a big hill for you guys to climb. And to me, it kind of felt like LA should have made a move earlier, and that even though this was a winning trade for them, it just came too late. But for Seattle, Toronto, I agree with your assessment there, and I feel the same way about Boston. It's kind of just like, why? I don't think it was really a clear victory or upgrade for either of those two teams, and I don't really understand why they were willing to move on from that. And again, from the Boston perspective, you already have an offensive defenseman in Dalfan. You're pairing him with another highly offensive defenseman, along with a forward in Drag that doesn't really come back and help out on defense ever. So that just seems like a recipe to potentially get exploited unless you're going to sort of put Dalfin or Owl on a leash and keep them back a lot more, and sort of force Paco to be all over the ice at both ends to cover. So they certainly can make it work, and I'm not trying to say that this is like a bad trade or anything. I just don't think it was a clear win on paper, so I didn't really understand the justification behind it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just thought, Taze watched the breakout video, so I think he got he got everything that he needed out of Dalfan, and he was able to provide the support that Dalfan needed to go do what he wanted. So I don't know. I like yeah. Again, we don't need to like talk about it more just because I think we have the same points. It's like why?
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess a kind of a point to that kind of got me a little excited. I feel like they got worse, so maybe they would drop in the standings, give LA a better chance. But also now Seattle's getting better, so it's a little tougher on that end.
Yeah, I think for Boston's sake, because they're just barely clinging on to the fourth seed here by 1 point at the moment, I think their X factor is going to be really Dalfan and how well he's able to adjust playing against or against next to Owl the rest of the season and making that sort of work for the two of them. If they can find a way to play good defense together in front of Sully, they'll set themselves up really well because again, it is another person that can provide a little something that Taze can't, making a guy miss, taking a really good shot from a difficult angle, taking a backhand shot, Taze. Um, but
Has Taze ever shot a backhand? Out of curiosity.
I think he has, but it usually doesn't go well, and he'll get memed for it pretty quickly. So I think he's sort of stayed away from that as much as possible. But yeah, so I think it's really going to come down to Dalfan, and as a result, I don't think he can miss another game. Like he
Nah,
needs to be there for the rest of the season for them.
He was moving for the game he missed.
Right, and you know, obviously there are reasons why people aren't going to make every game. I'm not saying like fuck him because he missed 2 games or
Yeah.
anything, right? Like, obviously you can't make all of them, but they need him to be there, and Paco, you know, needs help from other people on the team. He's an incredible player. He's more talented than I am for sure, but he needs a little bit more support because he's not a single player carry or doesn't play that style really. It's not what he's used to or comfortable with, so he needs people around him that can help a little bit more. And Dalfin is like the guy that they need to play off of there. So Tony, any closing thoughts here on Boston before we move on to the next team?
Yeah. Hope they keep losing because my team's right behind them.
Yeah, it's getting
Well,
close
they're
now.
too.
Last
I hope they shit
time
the
we
bed.
did this, I think you guys were 7 points out from them, 6 or 7 points
God,
out,
probably.
and now you guys are only one. So it's
We
been
had
a
a
big
big
week for
important win
that.
against them. We were up 5-0, like when the 5th goal got scored, it was like, at the end there were like 20 seconds left or something. That's right when I realized that was an important game that we had to win. I was like, oh yeah, we really needed to win this one.
Yeah, yeah, that's very, very big.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on to New Jersey?
New Jersey next? That seems like an odd
Yeah,
jump.
let's do New Jersey.
Well, it was
Alright,
right below Boston on the stats, and we've
fine.
already
I thought
done
we were gonna
Seattle
talk
and
about the trade. I
Colorado,
mean, we're talking
so
about the trade a little. I thought we'd jump around. It's fine though.
no, it's fine, it's fine. We'll do New Jersey. We'll get into the rest of the trade here in a minute. So
Okay.
this way I can recycle my takes again in a couple minutes. People may have
Okay.
forgotten. All right. So, Tony, let's start with you because Kiwi and I sort of let off on the last one on our thoughts.
All right.
So, New Jersey, where
This
do you think they're at? They had a 3-1 week, I'm
you
pretty sure.
you've given me, I believe, the hardest one to comment on of all the teams right now because sure 3-1 and all that, but to me there isn't like a week to talk about here. It's a day. It's a bit in between Tuesday and Friday. Like I think before Friday doesn't matter, and now we gotta wonder what's going forward. With Otto got himself a new mouse, and he ended up with 3 points in 2 games, which is
One
something
goal,
I
two
would like to
assists was the
get.
breakdown.
The
Yeah.
problem is he can't go back. The previous mouse has right click issues, scroll wheel issues.
It was working.
A lot of semen has been stuck in the mouse wheel.
Yeah.
It works, but it's really fun, and especially taking face-offs, he can't do that well if he can't right click.
Yeah.
So he can't. I don't think he can really switch back. I think he has to get used to this mouse.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's gonna try, but if he slips even a little, this team might be in a little bit of trouble.
Austin in chat saying maybe he needs to put semen in the new mouse.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
there's
man.
one. I think this is a day. I don't know when. This is like a week ago. I was like, it'll always talk to me now. They're like, oh, give me some takes on the games. And he was telling like me and Goose. He's like, there's this like weird thing. Like, if I'm having a bad game, my team doesn't really have a good night. Like, if I'm not doing too well, my team doesn't do well. I'm like, Otto, have you not been fucking paying attention to the best 6 seasons? Like, this has been a thing
Yeah.
the entire time. Like, what the fuck are you talking
Did
about?
he forget what playing HQM was like for him?
Yeah, like, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
How come if I don't score, my team doesn't win?
I think he might have been a little too used to Calgary and having, someone like Guy that can carry the load if he happens to not have a great game. And the odds of him ever being on a team like that again are really slim. So while he's dominating like this, he's going to have to be the guy, and that's going to be the case for a while unless his mouse screws with him. I mean, do we think him adjusting to his new mouse is actually something that's going to take a little while?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his points per game is going to drop. I think he's probably going to finish closer to 3 a game.
Yeah, only
I
3 a
only
game.
Oh,
three.
no.
It's only 3 a game.
But I mean, he's got a big lead up right now. I think
Oh, I
he's
know,
probably
yeah.
gonna be putting
he-
like maybe 2-1 in that range for a little bit, and then he's probably gonna get back up. I'm not too concerned in the long run. Like I don't think it's so much mouse with Otto, and for the most part, it's just sort of how he plays the game. He just kind of just plays better than everybody else.
I
One
think.
one thing
Oh,
I,
go
I
on.
did kind of notice, and this is probably just completely coincidence because I doubt Otto watches or listens to any of this, but I did suggest the last time we did a face-off that they needed to utilize Ike a little bit more and help him fit into the
Yeah.
team a bit more, and that some of that would have to come from Otto being more willing to work with him and pass him the puck in certain situations. And it did seem like this week that he actually was doing that a little bit more, and that might have been part of the reason why that he's not scoring quite to the same extent. But I don't know, it looked to me like there were a number of situations, particularly on Friday, where you'd normally see Otto like walk a person or at least try to walk the guy, and
He's
instead he was
passing.
making an outlet pass over to Ike, and that's just not something he's really done at all this season. And I'm not sure if that was more just a
I'm
coincidence
sure
because
that's
he isn't as confident in the new
yeah.
mouse right now, or if that's because he does genuinely want to try to make Ike fit a little bit better. Because I did hear a rumor that Ike was on the trade block, but that Otto felt bad trading him away. I did hear that that was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
I
is what
don't.
happened.
Yeah, I think Otto's high on Ike,
Um.
which
Uh.
is fair.
I don't
Uh.
know if I'd say he's high on Ike or if he just likes him enough as a person
That's what I
to
mean. That's what I mean.
not
Like
want.
Well,
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's
yeah.
person or if it's what, but he wants to play with Ike.
I
Is what I
heard there was a
gathered.
trade in the works, and Otto wanted to do it, but Austin did not.
That I
Yeah,
mean that
I
doesn't
heard that
surprise
trade was
me.
going to make the team
I
worse.
I can't imagine that Otto and Austin have similar philosophies on the way in which to build a team. I'm pretty sure Otto's kind of like just like doesn't care, give me people that I want to work with and I'm gonna go score for a game. And Austin's a little bit more concerned about making the team work as a whole. So it doesn't surprise me that their philosophies differ.
Let me just say that this trade was a win-win, a perfectly crafted trade. Um,
Maybe.
I
By the way,
just
if you asked Otto if he's seen the new Face-Off, he would ask if it's the one where you look up and swing your
Yeah,
head.
yeah, probably, probably.
no. I think this team again really depends on Otto's adjustment to his mouse. I don't think they're gonna slip far enough to fall out of playoffs. Um,
No.
Not so more of a risk with Colorado really, but
And the team was looking
um,
better
I
recently
think
too.
I
I think
think
as
we're
a
too
team they're
far
looking a little
up.
better.
yeah, I'm messing
I
with
think
you.
we're too far up. Well, the way we're playing right now, it wouldn't surprise me for us not to be a playoff caliber team, but I don't think we're going to slip out
Yeah.
with the lead we had. So,
The
How
good
many
news for
points
them.
reasonably do you need to make the playoffs?
for a 25 game season, probably around low 30s, like 30 to 31, 32 will likely guarantee you a spot. 33 maybe. So,
Forget like 5 teams are at 20.
Yeah, I think it might
well,
be a
yeah,
little
because
It's
higher
probably
than
going to
that.
be higher than that.
it has been
But
a fairly competitive season on the whole. Most teams are taking wins off each other, and even LA with the record they have has played a lot of close games to the point where their record could be a lot different than it is. So, for as many lopsided games as there were early in the season, I do think on the whole this is a fairly competitive season still as
Yeah.
far as historical standards go. And with the way we're playing right now on Colorado, I think it's safe to say at this point that there's not really a clear-cut favorite for who's going to win at the moment, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I think another good important note is Tidge scored 2 goals against LA. two absolute snipes. So he can pick up the slack if need be. But the thing I noticed about Ike in some of the games that we play with him is I don't know if it's because he's getting too close to the net when he gets his chances, but he was just, or maybe he's just scared of PK. But like he's just hitting
Reasonable.
bar. He's just hitting crossbar after crossbar, and he had there was one game we played where he had like 3 or 4 prime chances and he hit the bar on all of them, and it was like that. It kind of took a second evaluation of Ike after that, but I haven't watched him. We haven't played him in a while. Well, we played him yesterday and he played well. But there's like one game in particular where I saw that and I was like, maybe he's getting too close to the net. As a again, you liked me for my goalie expertise. Maybe you want my how to form fit to auto expertise. I don't think he can play. It's not like auto gives you enough space to do what you want to do.
Doesn't mean he's going to give you the puck to do it though.
That's true. That's true. No, he's pretty good at if he genuinely
If you're
thinks you have a
calling
better
for
chance.
it, he'll throw it to you. I feel
Yeah.
like in my experience of playing with him, if you're like I'm
Yeah.
open and you point out where you are, he'll more often than not try to throw it to you if you're
That's true.
telling the truth and you're open.
That's
If
true.
you're lying, he won't. He's not gonna just huck it into nothing for the most part.
Yeah, but I found my like I don't know. I just wouldn't try to like cherry pick really with him. I
No.
would just try to get it off the break with him, and like in the neutral zone, that was when I would do best because everyone kind of shift to help cover auto. But I don't know. I think
Yeah,
Ike
'cause
might be playing a little too far up.
you'd think with Ike's ability or his talent that he's capable of, that he'd be able to find a lot of easy opportunities and open chances and whatnot that are created by the fact that Otto pulls away so much of the defense every time. And we did kind of see that on Montreal a few seasons ago, season 17 or whatever it was, when they played together. Ike did a pretty good job at actually finding that sort of niche and finding that hole in the defense to be able to generate his own scoring chances there with Otto passing it to him. And this time around, that's just not really happening. And it would be interesting to me to see what would happen if you were to take Ike off of New Jersey and put him onto a different team.
Yeah,
Because
like LA
on
or
one
something.
hand, I think his points are getting almost inflated by the fact that he's playing with Otto and he's getting a bunch of assists purely because Otto's able to just generate ridiculous amounts of offense after getting the puck. But on the other hand, I think he's had a lot of opportunities to score taken away from him by nature of the fact that he's playing with Otto. So I think there's give and take there on both sides, positive and negative with him. So I'd love to see at this point probably season 21. It doesn't sound like he's going to be traded at this point with all the rumors that have gone around and have everything falling through now. Um, I'd be interested to see season 21 if he's playing without Otto, what that would actually look like.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to
Yeah,
get a good
that's
read on him right now.
Ike's one of the more I think interesting players in the league in terms of what could he do and like is he right now a product of Otto or is he being hurt individually by Otto? Would he work
Yeah,
better on
because I mean, you could
this
see
team, that
both
team?
being the case, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, out of all pairing partners, about I think Ike's one of the more like can hold his own. I mean, Ike was kind of like the main forward season 18, I think, on Vancouver. He did really
Yeah,
well.
he
So
did a
wasn't he
really
like
good
third in
job, and he was good on
points
19
or
too.
something? Wasn't like third in points
yeah,
on that
he's
season?
he's a very capable goal scorer.
And that was a lineup of like him and Para, I think, were the first two, and they
Yeah,
played really
Hit
well together.
Quacky for a bit, and then he was foolishly traded to Dallas, and then they beat us.
Well, I was the GM at that point, and that's when Quacky said, "Oh, please, Kiwi, trade me." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna trade you to one of the bottom two teams." He's like, "Well, maybe you could wait a little bit before you trade me." And I'm like, well, "Okay."
it's such a quacky move.
That's what he would have sounded like if he had a mic.
Getting
That's
traded to
what he
that
sounds
Toronto
like
team
now.
probably
So,
would have sucked.
Yeah, what were the bottom two teams
but
season 18?
That was that Toronto team that fucking oh man, they were bad.
I
I don't know
think
what the other one. I think that
I
the
think
Chicago
it
team
was
had
New
Guy and
York.
Jews. No, New
think it was
York made the
the New York
playoffs.
team.
They were
Oh, maybe it was Chicago then.
they were 3-1
I
on
just
us in the
remember
first
that.
round.
anyway,
Pissed it away.
back to New Jersey. I think that I'm standing by my assessment of them last week. I think obviously with Otto on the team, they're always going to be a potential favorite for winning the cup. But I do think that they're whether or not they do so is going to be largely predicated on what the rest of the team is capable of doing around him. And they need people to be able to score and contribute when Otto can't. And when things get tighter in the playoffs and whatnot and down the stretch here, it's going to become harder and harder for Otto to just outright dominate a game and get 6 goals every time. So they're going to need to be able to rely on some more people more. And this is a prime opportunity with Otto, having to adjust to playing with a new mouse, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, especially for a game with so much muscle memory like HQM, right? This is the opportunity for them to step up and do that. And we saw some of that against LA with Tidge scoring 2 goals, and I think Ike had 1 plus 2 assists or something like that. So they had some big games. But then against Seattle, it was like, well, Otto's not scoring, so the rest of the team's not scoring. And if that continues, I think they're going to have a difficult time winning a championship this year. So,
Yeah. Yeah, right now I don't trust any teams. I would not gamble on who's going to win the cup right now. Like, I would not put
yeah,
anything down.
really hard to tell right now. Really hard to tell. All right, shall
Yeah.
we continue on, or is there anything else you guys wanted to chat about with New Jersey?
Still going to look for that trade.
Yeah, I think they're still gonna. I think there's some trades that could happen.
Yeah.
I have
like
I have a I
when
have a
Dial.
pretty good superpower where I'm not a GM and I get to walk around and pretend like I am, and people talk to me and tell me things. So I think a trade might happen.
All right. Well, let's get into some potential trades at the very end. We'll preview some potential ones that could be coming out because trade deadline is on Tuesday. So Tuesday night at midnight, we've got what, three days now until that happens. So it's coming up soon, and we'll only have 2 more actual games to be played by every team before that actually comes to fruition. So
This
Tuesday
season's
Tuesday
almost
could be
over.
a spicy one. It could be. All right, let's go to Toronto. So
Toronto.
Toronto is the second seed at the moment, the final playoff team or current playoff team that we have yet to chat about. So they also were involved in the three-way trade that Kiwi brought up earlier when we were talking about Boston. So Toronto primarily gave up Owl and got Jalalu back. There was also a swap of G-Lord for Migo there as well. But obviously, the more impactful part is giving up the defenseman in Owl and bringing in the forward in Jalalu. Tony, you were the one who first sort of brought up the style that they play and why it works really well for those 4 players and their whole rotation that they do and everything like that. Do you think bringing in Jay Lalo and taking out Owl is a negative impact on that?
Yes, I do. And this is coming from the biggest Lalu fan in the whole game. Fucking up that guy's ass anytime I can be. I think Lalu's awesome. And I think I didn't see. No, I did see them play you. Actually, yeah. So I'll break that down too. That was another one where you were talking about, not to take anything away from the other teams, that you guys were sort of losing the games
Oh
for
yeah, we
yourselves
pissed
rather
that
than the other
away.
team. And that's something I sort of saw in the Toronto game. Kill got some easy goals. I thought that, in most cases, shouldn't happen. He
I mean, we
shouldn't be
gave
in the
up
position to
six
score. Yeah.
shots and 5 goals
Yeah, and let
against.
in 5 goals, and it wasn't really Skeez's fault either. It's not like he was letting in, like he didn't just let in 5 horrible goals. Like he gave up 6 shots, which is not a good output from Toronto for the most part.
Yeah, that's really good
And
defensively
yeah,
usually.
yeah, and I didn't really like how they were playing, and then saw, I didn't see it all. I didn't see the first period, but the Boston Toronto game. That's another game where I was watching. I was like, Toronto is not gonna win this game. It's really obvious they're not connecting on things. They're playing different, and I didn't like how they looked. They could still turn it around. Obviously, like it's a brand new team essentially that they're working with, and it could be a better team. Like they could improve, but right now and what I saw on Friday, I didn't like it. I thought they didn't look very good.
I think they've lost some of their identity
Yeah.
in that trade. And again, it was just kind of like a why thing. I mean,
Yeah, I
Toronto,
didn't understand. Like, I see, like, if you're trading, if I'm a GM and somebody offers me Lalu, I probably accept it regardless of what, the other, like, Jay Lalu, I'll get Jay Lalu. And I think that's actually kind of what happened there. They're like, oh, we can get Jay Lalu? That's crazy. Let's do that. And I don't think they really, I don't know. No, they must have considered it. They obviously considered, like, how much Owl was kind of bringing to that team and bringing to the four of them being able to play well together, and throwing in another guy who's, you know, aggressive and a forward. Trading a forward for a defenseman is, you know, that's a dangerous play, even if you have versatility in your lineup. Like with someone like Leafs, who is up on forward, now he's just going to slide back to D. He's played D before. It's still odd. It's such a weird thing to swap a defenseman for a forward, and
it is, and it
didn't
wasn't.
work out.
It's not even the swapping a defenseman for a forward thing that got me. It's mostly like your team is working. Your second
Yeah,
seed
why
right
break it?
now. You were on a 7-1 streak of games. It just didn't seem like the time to be making a switch in their lineup. And
Hmm.
I understand, what you're saying, and that, okay, Lalu's on the board here. We could potentially get him. You always want to be looking for a way to improve your team as your GM. 100% understand that. But I think in this case, it was a risk that wasn't necessary. Obviously, it could turn out really good. They could go on and demolish the league, win the cup, and then obviously, this take on it looks stupid. But for the short term, I just don't think it was necessary, and I don't think it was enough of a clear win on paper to justify doing it personally. Like if I was GMing that team or if I was Kill there, I probably wouldn't have. They've gone 2-2 since the trade happened. They beat LA 4-0. They beat us 5-2, and then they've lost two games to Boston, 3-0 and 4-2. So Boston clearly has their number, has had their number all season before this, so not too much of a surprise to see that continue. They seem to be the kryptonite for Toronto here, but yeah, I mean it's it's hard to call it a loss because there's still 500. There's a lot of games left to be played, but I just don't see it being enough of a win to have justified doing that.
You couldn't have said it better myself, Dial. That's
Yeah.
that's how I feel. I don't know. I want to give credit to Kill because everyone shit on him drafting this team, and I think he did a really good job with it. But like I said, I don't know. I can't like figure out why this team does so well. Um, I don't know. Like every time, I don't want to attribute it to luck. It's probably more like better positioning because I feel like when one person loses it, someone's there to pick it up and like continue the play. So I think it's more so better positioning than just straight up luck.
They put
Uh,
themselves in a position to be lucky. As much
yeah.
as being lucky isn't a skill, putting yourself in the position to do so is, and that's something that you could give them credit for. It's something Otto does a lot.
Yeah, and I think Lalu is great. Like I said, like Tony said, I love him. He's a great guy. Um, but I don't know if putting Lease on D and kind of unwinding everything they've done so
Yeah.
far was the right move. Like again, like they're in second place. Like why? That's the big question.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe they didn't think they could win with the lineup they had. They didn't. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they were having trouble against us. The games
yeah,
they had played against us to that point were not completely one-sided. The first one was obviously an OT, but after that, the second game was very one-sided. So it might have been that from their perspective, they didn't think their team, as it stood, could compete with us as the favorites at that point. But there was still more than half the season left to be played when they made that trade. And obviously, if that was the justification for it, in hindsight, with us starting to look really bad without Guy, probably was jumping the gun a little bit too much. But I don't think that would have been the reason why Kill would have broken up the team that he had.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe though. I mean, if you're not gonna win, if you're not gonna win the cup, and you don't think you are, like, why wouldn't you want to change something? Like, if you don't think you're gonna win, change it, sure. But like,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I
They were
just
looking good. They were winning. Yes,
yeah,
it's just it's odd.
and that's kind of my point. You could say that maybe they didn't feel confident going against us in a series, but they as it stands wouldn't be playing us in the first round anyway. We could easily lose to another team in the first round or have
Yeah.
a bad series in the playoffs, and then it doesn't
And
matter.
no
So
guy and all that.
yeah, so if they were looking at it from that perspective, which I'm not saying they were, uh, I don't think that would have been a good justification for the decision that was made there. So I hope it works out for them. I hope it actually, results in them at least being able to maintain the level that they were at, because they were playing very well, and I think they were sort of, shutting up all the haters, so to speak, right? But yeah, it's tough to tell right now because they're going to have to retool the way that they have been playing the game, and I think it just depends on how quickly they're capable of doing that. That'll determine whether or not they can hold on to the second seed or slip a little bit farther or, what have you. So,
Yeah, it's an interesting team to watch going forward. I think it'll be some. I think there's gonna need to be some adjustment from them.
yeah,
Even though
absolutely.
Lawler's a good two-way player
Absolutely.
too, it's not quite the same as what it was.
Mm.
Yeah. I just want to say a shout out here to Haybert. Maybe he's the glue that holds this team together, and you could put
Yeah,
anyone there in that forward slot, and as long as they know they got Bert back there, things will be all right.
I
Because
mean,
Bert's such a
he's
great
been
guy.
yeah,
really
he's
good.
awesome.
He's been the best goalie outside of PK. So,
So yeah, I mean,
speaking of PK, shall we move on up to LA?
oh yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it.
I got a lot of things I want to say.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
Oh, sorry,
so
we've run out of time.
yeah. So we got the trade obviously, and I know people are thinking, well, why trade for defense when the team can't fucking score? But again, I've probably been fucking texting Zam more. I probably talked to more to Zam over the past 2 weeks than I have like anyone I know, both online or not. So like we've been trying and working everything, and pretty much the consensus is that like any trade that other GMs want to make that we don't want to is like just giving up on the team. Pretty much saying, okay, it's 100% not gonna happen. Let's do it. And I don't think Zam's quite there yet. We're not technically fully eliminated. Um, like if we go 2-0 on Tuesday, that could be a good start to something. But we're not technically out of it, although things are looking pretty bad, and we need a lot of things to go our way that's out of our control. Um, but I don't think Zam's there yet. Maybe at the deadline things will change, and if we have a bad Tuesday, maybe that's when things are like, okay, let's just fucking blow up the team now because it's like officially over. But right now, like speaking of like a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, when people are thinking Zam should make a trade, it's at that point when we're still the last team in the league, but it's still things could definitely change. So, but the trades that were on the table were like, okay, you take this and you pretty much given up.
So
Not necessarily, but
is that the reason why you guys weren't making trades? Because that was the biggest criticism of
yeah,
Zam was that a lot of people, not having the inside knowledge that you guys have, obviously, right? Were looking at it like, you know, like to me, it was when you guys were 1-8, I think, or 1-6 after 7 games, whatever the case was, right? That was the point where I was like, okay, they need to make a trade like now
yeah.
because at the rate this is going, there's a lot of time left in the season. It's 25 games, not just 20, so it's not end all be all yet. But if you have a 1-6 stretch like that, you're really in a bad spot to be able to catch up to everybody else by the time the playoffs roll around. So I thought that was a pretty valid criticism. But so is that kind of the case then? You guys just didn't have anything that really,
Yeah, like obviously our biggest piece is PK to trade.
yeah,
So that eliminates Boston from a trade, or pretty much eliminates
Toronto.
Boston or
Toronto, because
Toronto,
yeah, because
yeah.
I don't think KP's gonna want to move Bert. So and the thing with Seattle is they have Goose, so it's like we're in this situation where we have a goalie that can't make it every day. So then another team would have to tack onto that, and it just makes everything 1,000 times messier. So it's hard to move PK because just the circumstances of the league. And then so we have to like make a pairing with that with a forward or something, maybe swap out Mir Lalu, and I mean now things have changed with Lalu gone, so everything kind of got flipped in ways that we weren't expecting. Um, it's been rough to try to do that. I think I think the LA trade was maybe a win. The whole three-way trade was a win for us, mainly because I just don't think me and Lalu worked well together. Like going into this from the draft, it was like I feel like we were the only team that wasn't a up, like we didn't have a question. Like you guys had, like Colorado had Marchie, and it's like, okay, well, how the hell is Marchie gonna play after so long? Is he even gonna show up? Seattle had DMB, and it's like, okay, is DMB gonna be good? Toronto had, I don't know, they had Jabba as a big question mark. Um, New Jersey had Ike, who's been gone for a while. Sully had, who do you have? He had Drag, who's been gone for a while. Like all these teams had like these question marks that anyone really thought, and then LA was the only team that really didn't have that. So I thought we were gonna do a lot better, but it just seemed like me and Lalo play very similar. We both want to be aggressive on the forecheck and aggressive, like not so much cherry picking, but just be aggressive up front.
Put a
And
lot of pressure on. Yeah.
yeah, and like it just like I was in a weird position where like I didn't want to play too far up because Lalu, but then he would like forecheck really well and get the puck, and I wouldn't be there to support him because I'm like thinking, okay, this puck's fucking lost. There's no way we're getting this back. So I'm starting to turn back, and I wouldn't be able to help Lalu, and like Zam comes in from the D line, so I have to play back for him. So it's like I'm in this really weird spot where I feel like I can't, like I'm always out of position. So I don't know. It was just not a good. I think we had the talent, we just didn't have the right mesh.
Play
So I
style
think
wasn't cohesive enough.
100%. So trading for Lalu, although he was our best player, I think still helped us out just because it allowed me to play more comfortably. But I mean, the first game without him, I think I played, or second game without him, I think I played like shit just because our confidence is just so bad from the first few games. So to be able to score a little bit more yesterday was huge for me because I feel like I just like after the past few games, I missed 3 breakaways on Tuesday, and that was just like awful. I was just like, holy shit, like this is gone. So I don't know. I feel like I'm able to play in a way I want to as well. We have a bit again. We're still
I
back
heard
heavy.
that one before from a different player.
Wait, who said that?
It was Dial. Was it? When did BG say that one?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? Now we're now he's
like
playing the way he
3
wants
years.
to.
Yeah, 3 years I think now.
Oh God,
Now
was he on
I'm
your
playing
team?
the way I want to.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, we're back heavy. There might be some more trades in the work, but a lot of the trades we've been seeing so far is like pretty much giving up, and I don't think Samurai are there yet. Yeah, it's looking pretty damn bad, but my worry, I think, to be honest, I think after the trade, I think Boston's gonna slip, and my worry now more so is Seattle taking that spot instead of us. But we pretty much have to flip everything around whether that happens. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens on Tuesday. If the trade deadline, well, the trade deadline's Tuesday. If Tuesday we have a bad Tuesday out, and especially because our games are against Boston and Seattle.
Yeah, it is a huge
Yeah,
day.
if we go
Tuesday is
2-0, that's
huge.
great.
And I was going to get to that when we get to the trade preview stuff at the very end here, or in the predictions really, but the matchups on Tuesday all pretty much have significant implications to what the standings are going to look like, which is awesome for a trade deadline day. But even then, I'm still not entirely convinced we're going to see a ton happen. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I told Zam, I told Zam that, fuck it, if we go, I feel so bad for getting tased on here. If like, if we can't, if we're not able to turn around, so if we go 0-2 Tuesday, there may be a fire sale. So, might be able to get some top D-mens for really cheap, or you might be able to get a second forward for really cheap as well. So we'll see.
So that was going to be my next question to you is if things don't go well on Tuesday and you guys, go 1-1 or 0-2, are you going to blow up the team and start, sending players away and taking sort of losing trades to try to give them an opportunity to make the playoffs? I mean, Zam has
Um,
been the type of GM to do that before, so
Did it for you once.
yeah, he did. So
I think Sam would do that. I honestly I asked him because I was like, this is I don't even. Let me see when this message was. We were talking about like trades. This was like a week or two ago. I don't know. This is on the 29th, so yeah, like a week ago. We were like working on fucking trades like all night, and and I was just like, listen, like I'm about to go to sleep. Just tell me if we're still bad. Will you trade me? He's like, I'll trade you for last of the deadline. I don't know if he's gonna honor that or anything. I don't expect him to, but I think he would be the type of GM to do that. So I don't know.
And a season where there's protections is the time to do that.
Yeah. I don't know if Zam's really feeling next season. Seems
Yeah, I
like
was
he has
gonna
a lot
ask.
of he has it seemed from what I've taught. I don't really know how much I should share because it's his decision, but it seems like he likes to take weekend trips. He's a weekend trip type of guy
Doesn't
from
like the
whatever.
LHL happening on the
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. So I think the Fridays are really screwing him over in that regard. So I think he definitely wants
There's still
to.
COVID going on. He shouldn't be going on trips.
And that's what I was.
Don't.
Well, I was just telling him, maybe don't GMs and pull like a guy or something. Just make half the games or some Archie or whatever the fuck, whoever does that
Plus,
shit.
we could always go back to 3 games. Who knows? But if we had a day, it'll probably be Sunday. So
Yeah. So in short, I think this trade kind of helped us. Taze and Zam work so well together. I think they're able to. I don't know. Taze is allowing Zam to play the way he wants to play. Um, Taze is just a stud, and then PK gets whatever is. PK pretty much just gets there. PK's so playing fucking out of his mind. It just sucks that we're not able to score for him. He's just playing. I like. I just like. I'm just worried that if we do start picking things up, that he's gonna start coming back down to reality. So I don't know. I have some faith for this team. Now, especially now that we got Jeetler, I love him. So, and I fought for him to get in this league. Tony, don't forget that. Um, Now that we got Jeetler, I think we're ready to make our push. But yeah, we need a lot of things to turn around, and we need a lot of things to outside of our control to change. And again, I'm not so much worried about Boston now as I am Seattle taking that spot. So Tuesday, if Tuesday doesn't go well, um, maybe pieces will go flying. So see if you can put your hand out there and grab one. I think Colorado might want to get I don't know. There's a lot of pieces we can move. But I don't know. Really, it's like what will the BOC allow? Honestly, how
True.
how low can we stoop?
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm.
Maybe Zam's gonna be pissed off that no one wanted to fucking trade before, and he won't make any moves. I really have no idea. So that could
Yeah, I
also be
mean,
a thing.
from his perspective, if I were in his shoes, I'd obviously be cognizant of the fact that, there are people that deserve
There's
to
one
have a chance
GM.
at the playoffs and like deserve to, keep their season alive, so to speak. So I'd certainly be mindful of that, but at the same time, if there is any plan to come into it next season as the retaining GM, setting yourself up for next season so that you don't have a repeat of this would be my top priority personally. So I would be doing whatever I could to ensure that next season starts better and
Yeah.
that I have a better or a team that gels together a little bit more coming into next season. And that would be what I would look for in the trades. If there are ways he can accomplish both things at the same time, like, trading you or Taze or PK off to a playoff contender for something in return that could help him build the team next season, then that's great. But if you can't achieve both, I would be looking more towards building something up for season 21. But, you throw the wrench in there of him potentially not coming back to GM, and well, how much does that mean? And at that point, like you said, now he's a pretty much just in a position of he could help make his teammates happy by sending them somewhere else, or he could sit there and, you guys all just fight as hard as you can for the rest of the season for your dignity's sake, but without really much to gain.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm having a lot of fun on this team. I'm playing with people that I know. It's a little different for people I haven't really played with, but it's people that I know, so it's really cool. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. This team just had a rough start. We didn't really gel in the beginning. We weren't able to generate chances, and kind of having a little bit of the same problem now. Although I'm feeling better about it. I think I'm getting more confident. So, but again, it might be too little, too late. So, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens Tuesday and if something blows up. But I don't know. There's not really too many like being realistically, any trade that Zam makes on Tuesday probably is going to be just admitting that it's over because there's really not that many pieces that are available are that could actually improve the team. Like um, like I said, like New Jersey or Cap was looking to trade Guy. Um, and it was like, okay, well maybe we could use him for a couple of games and kind of jumpstart a comeback here. But that's over now because Crab got him. But then, there's not really much available. I can't really think of anybody that's available or anybody that I want to say is available. That it makes sense for Zam to take that would actually improve the team. So if anything happens on Tuesday, I think it's going to be sort of a little bit of a giveaway. So
Yeah, we could be looking at a really different league on Tuesday after those games.
yeah,
if
there might
your
be a few
team...
stacked teams. I mean,
yeah, and
I'll be honest. I know some shit that's in the works and could be in the works. But personally, I would feel fucking horrible for moving if I got traded and Taze didn't. Like, I'd feel fucking bad if that did. I don't want that to happen. If anything's happening, I'm pushing. If anything happens bad on Tuesday, if we go 0-2 on Tuesday, I'm pushing for trade to get everybody just take a stab at my Crab's in the chat, Austin's in the chat. I want you guys to fucking push for him as hard as you can. Sully,
Taze.
see if you can get him to accept Al for Taze. We'll see if that happens, but
I
don't know.
Roll it back, Sully.
I kind of agree with Crab. Parity has been really good this season, and I think like you said, Tony, that parity could be thrown out the window if LA starts moving some pieces.
Yeah.
We could see
Of course,
this
if you're
go
gonna blow,
from
there isn't just blowing it like you said about what the BLC will allow. It does have to be within
Yeah.
reason. They can't. Yeah, obviously.
One of the trades, and I think you're
yeah.
aware of it, is fairly reasonable. I think there's one version that is like there's an offer out there that is like two sides are fight. There's one piece that two sides are fighting for different people, and that's a pretty fair trade. Is it not? Am I not correct?
But they don't want. Yeah, it's reasonable in value, but obviously you like the trade. You like the trade, and I don't. And I don't want to say what it is.
There's two different trades I both think are good, but there's a little point of contention. On Dial, I don't know if you're aware, but
probably.
Not really.
Oh, great!
No.
But pretty much.
You'd know if we told you what it was, you'd be like, "Oh, that's the."
I mean, like, I can make some assumptions, but
Yeah.
I have not been as up to speed on what other teams are doing as I usually am. I've been a little less involved and kind of letting Cap take the reins on a lot of that. So
yeah, I don't think there's really anything that I really don't think the trades that would be done are like bullshit in any which way. I think Zam's pretty fair about that.
Of the ones I know currently, yeah.
That could change. That could definitely
change.
That's
the thing. That's what trades like that I think would be fine. But I'm saying things that maybe aren't on the board. That maybe if LA loses 2 games and you guys are like, okay, can we get moved? That's a different trades that would happen on that day because of that would probably have to be looked at, especially if Sam doesn't really want to come back in GM and he's kind of not actually building for anything. Because the thing is, you could blow it up very reasonably. If you don't think you're going to win, you could shake things up and get a team where you get a couple pieces that you can hang on to and guys you can play with next season. And
well, only one because you can only protect one though.
No, that's not true.
You can protect 2.
You can protect 2.
Oh, okay. But I mean, really, there's
now is it worth it to do that? Like, are you gonna have 2 players worth protecting?
Yeah, that's the question.
And even throughout the league, there's probably like only 2 people that people can think about worth protecting, or 1.
Well, no. Well, see, the thing about the protections that was come up with in season 19 and is now finally coming through is you can protect a guy in the first 4 rounds
or 3 rounds.
Round.
Yeah, it's like second
2, 3,
1
4,
from 2 through 4, and then 1 from 5 through
after.
9.
And a lot of those guys 5 and after are probably the ones that everyone should probably take a flyer on somebody who is taken there. I think for the most part, like there's guys like Payne and Doc, and like Cheats, a guy went late who can play. Parabola, I think, went in the 5th round. Like these are big. Like, okay, we can hang on to this guy, and that's a starter. Like even if Sully doesn't come back, if you take over that Boston team, you might have your starting goalie if Para wants to play it.
Yep. For a 4th too.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mean, that's like not the plan right now. The plan is to go 2-0, go 2-0 on Tuesday, and make our charge for the playoffs.
And then miss the playoffs on the last.
Yeah, that'd be fucking
by
horrible.
1 point.
So yeah. So yeah, it's go 2-0. Like I said, I'm not gonna be pissed any which way. I mean, if I go.
Yeah, you seem to like the team.
Because let's be honest. The top 3 pieces are probably me, well, in order, probably PK, Taze, me. So you guys can probably figure out who would go where, or infer. But I don't know.
Let's do a face-off on Tuesday night and go roll over into midnight.
Yeah, we can talk. We can talk more about trades if we
Well,
have a section about it. But
well, I'll consider doing a face off on Tuesday night. I will consider it. We will have stats to do on Tuesday, so it'll
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be after the games and after all the stats are done. But we may or may not do the face off around 10:30, something like that until midnight. So we'll see. We might do it.
That's pushing
So
it
I'll
late
I'll
for me.
make I'll
Actually, it'll
make an
just be you.
announcement on what, midnight? Really? That's
Yeah.
late for you? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
it's
You're
Tony whisper time.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it
whisper
is.
time.
All
You don't
right.
Let's
want.
just
Nobody wants that.
yeah.
Well,
Let's just.
Tyler, there
All
was
I'm
a big
saying is
trade. I
just
got
be.
traded. They traded me to LA for
I'll
Ace.
consider throwing up a stream on Tuesday night. We'll see how the stats go and everything like that. We'll see if it sounds like any trades are going to happen. If it does, I'll throw up a trade and we'll do a little bit of
Just
review on it.
BOC and GMs. Get the Discord app on your phone. It might be a lot of action, but maybe not. I don't know. If I stay in this team, I'm happy because this team is super fun to be on. Even though if you were like in our Discord, you would not think this team is doing as poorly as it is, just because everyone's a fun time to be with. So, yeah. But if I get traded to another team, I'll be just as happy. Maybe even a little sad because I'll miss LA. But fuck the name LA Wildfire. That's insensitive. That's all I'm gonna say, and I think that we could wrap
That's a
up
good name.
LA. Unless you guys have points about LA.
Yeah, it's a good name. Good logo.
Yeah, no, I don't really have anything else. I am glad to see that you guys still have you're still getting enjoyment out of the game. You're still enjoying playing with each other because teams that are in spots like what you guys are in right now often leads to people quitting the game and not playing anymore because they had so, much not fun or so little fun during that season that they don't want to come back afterwards, which is understandable. So it's good to see that you guys are, being resilient enough to not sort of succumb to that, which I think is a big deal, especially given the caliber of players on your team. You've got a lot of individually talented and good players here, and it would suck to see a lot of them, or even some of them, not come back because they, to use my phrase earlier, had so much not fun playing. So
You gotta hate when that happens when you have
Who's
so much not fun.
who's
yep,
Pwn671?
that's K-Pate.
Okay, well he definitely pwned. So
You got another GM listening?
yeah, but yeah. So again, I just want to stress, having fun, great time on LA. But if things get blown up, we're not gonna just stack one team or some shit like that. It'll be fair. All is fair. Zam's a reasonable
Maybe.
guy.
Unlike what
All right.
happened in season 7.
So, shall we move on to prediction time then?
Sure.
Get into that.
Did we go over
I
every
don't
team?
know.
Was that all of them?
Yeah, that was all of them.
Shit.
I don't know if you noticed on the predictions thing, Kiwi, but I wrote your name as Jeet on there.
I love Jeet. I just want to say, I don't know if he's gonna watch this, but shout out to Jeet. Really fought for you to be in this league because, it's your time. Maybe on LA, maybe it will be. We'll see.
I had to fill in the name as Jeet because I've sent this Google Doc to a few people now that have been on, a few guests and whatnot. So the link is making its rounds out there. And if I put the name in of the guest, people will know before the episode airs who's going to be on there, and we can't have any of that. Didn't want to
Yeah,
spoil the Kiwi
I didn't know that
surprise.
was supposed to be a thing because I've told people. I was
No,
asking
that's
people
okay.
that won. They could
You
pick.
don't have to not tell people. That's entirely up to you guys. So, but
Yeah,
I
I was
enjoy
getting
the
paid.
suspense of it.
I was getting paid for shout outs, so
Oh, nice.
Bert.
Are they paying in Dussy bucks or?
No, they're paying in WoW gold now. We're into
Oh,
WoW stuff.
that's the way to do it. All right, so let's get right into it. The first game on Tuesday, as I said, all of these games are really impactful or almost all of them anyway, really impactful to the playoff race here. Seattle and Toronto is our first game of the night, and two big impacts here, both for Seattle and Toronto separately. Obviously, they're not really fighting against each other for a playoff spot, but Toronto trying to close the gap on first seed as we continue to struggle and fall down. Toronto chasing us, and then Seattle trying to chase the fourth seed here. And a win there would temporarily put you guys above Boston in the standings. So is a big game for both teams, but a lot more on the line for Seattle for sure. With that said, Kiwi, you want to make your prediction for this game?
This is tough. I don't know. This God, both these fucking teams are so hard to guess for, but I'm gonna predict a Toronto thwomping, 5-2.
Okay.
Score
You
too.
you don't you don't need to predict the score, but if you'd like to, you certainly can.
I said thwomping, so I had to back
You
it
had
up.
to, yeah, you had to back it up. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna continue to try to build on my last week's prediction record of 6-2. My best so far this season. Get fucked, Tony, 3-5.
Yeah, I
We're
botched
back
you.
to being tied, so I'm now no longer dumber than you.
You let me down because I was just continuing to
That
gamble on
see
Colorado
see
because they're
everybody's
easy points.
everybody's wondering why Colorado sucked this past week, and it totally was not because I said we need to ruin Tony's prediction record so I can catch up.
Yeah.
Because I think you predicted us in all 4 games and lost all 4 of those.
Yeah, for
Pretty
the
sure.
most part, I'd be.
Oh shit! Wait! Guy is their goalie. I completely forgot about that now. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna.
Hold on.
Fuck.
Hold on. Will Guy be playing that game, or will Guy play against you guys later that night?
He's gonna play, but Guy
Oh
can play in
shit,
three
guys.
games. Guy can play in 3 games. We have 6 Tuesday games left. Goose is gonna make one of those days now.
Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
So
You're a
one.
piece of shit if you put Guy in against us. That's fucked up.
Putting Guy in against you. What the fuck? Why
I
would we
mean,
not do that?
they could
Yeah.
put Guy in against you and get guaranteed points, right, Kiwi?
That's fucked up. That is fucked up.
Dude, that's what Colorado should have been doing, and instead they screwed it.
That's
Now we have
what
to
Tony
do it.
has been telling us to do for so long is just put Guy in against the teams that are like at the bottom of the standings and exploit them
awful.
for easy points.
And you should have.
Is
have
We
Guy
didn't
playing?
though. We didn't.
Is Guy playing Tuesday?
Oh yeah.
He'll be
Okay,
playing.
flip
Is he
it, flip
playing
it,
both
flip it.
on Tuesday?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's
Oh,
playing
All right.
both here, and then he's playing one on the next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm sure. And
So-
then Goose is playing the Tuesday after that. So there's
So-
only one game that isn't gonna be
Okay. Good to know.
Guy or Goose. In
Good
that.
to know for the predictions here. So I was going to go with Seattle anyway, but maintaining that now. You guys are coming off of 2 really good games on Friday this past week. I think you're going to build on that against Toronto. That's still sort of figuring out what the best way to play with their new lineup is. I think this is a prime opportunity for you guys to take advantage of that and sneak out a win here against the second seed. So I think you guys win this one.
Crab is saying in chat, not 100% what games Guy plays at, because there is one. We have to make a choice which one game Guy misses of the next 4.
All right. So Colorado and Boston is our other 7:40 matchup on Tuesday. So this is a matchup that has been pretty well dominated by Colorado the whole season so far. They do own the head-to-head at this point, so there's no way to change that. If for some reason that the two teams ended up in a tie in points, which the way things are going might actually happen, who knows? So this is a big game for Boston as Seattle has a good opportunity here to get a W against Toronto, and if done, will put them 2 points above Boston in the standings. So this is not a must-win case for them, but Boston really would benefit from getting 2 wins here to maintain their spot. With that said, Tony, what do you think we're going to get out of this game?
Ooh, it's all rattling through my head here. I think Boston probably just goes 1-1 again here, and the missing Quacky potentially hurts. I'm gonna pick Boston for this one. They're probably gonna lose now because I say that, but yeah.
By the way, I was told that Marchie was watching the stream. He will be here, and he
I did see him
wanted
at
to
Pubstar.
he wanted to get in to the face-off so that he could shit talk Kiwi. So
I have experienced the GMing Marchie, and it was a nightmare. I have to beg this guy and ask him just to get the answer if he's showing up or not. So
Yeah, that's kind of what's going on this
it is
season.
Well,
not a good
he
sign.
he guaranteed me he's showing up on Tuesday, and he said I'm gonna see some stuff I've never seen before.
Thank God. I need you guys to beat. I want you guys to beat fucking Boston. So
Well, and if Marchie's gonna be here to come into play, I don't know. Now I'm kind of thinking.
He said his brain has grown. Was the
is he actually gonna be able to break the puck
terminology
out
he
now?
used. Well, I don't know, man, but he said we're gonna see some stuff we've never seen before. So it's
We
either
ain't
gonna be
seen
really
nothing like
A tape to tape pass.
Look, man, no comment from me there. So all right, Kiwi, what do you think's gonna happen with that knowledge?
God, I really want Colorado to win, but without Quacky, with I mean, well, March is showing stuff we never seen before. That makes it even tougher to guess. But I think I'm gonna say Boston as much as it hurts me to say.
Gotcha. Okay.
Prove me
Chat,
wrong, Dial.
I did not ask you for the first game, but Colorado and Boston, go ahead and tell us who you guys think is going to win. While we get
Yeah, that's an
those
interesting one.
in chat here, I'm going to move on to the next game, which is Boston and LA. So I'll start with my prediction here. So LA, you guys really need this one. If you lose this, you don't have the head-to-head tiebreaker with Boston, who's the current fourth seed. So they're holding the current spot that you guys are seeking to take here. I think you guys are going to come out swinging. I think PK is going to lay his dick down on the ice, and he's going to hold the Boston forwards, primarily Paco, to 1 goal in total. I think you guys are going to wind up winning probably a 3-1 game here.
So not a thwomping, but
No, not a thwomping. It's going to be a tightly contested game because Sully's a good goalie too. So, but I do think that we will see an LA victory here.
Yeah, so do I, because Boston can't win 2 games in one day. It's not allowed. So yeah, I'm gonna pick LA because I already picked Boston.
I
Gotcha.
just want to say for the record, for as much as scrims don't matter, we did play 2 scrims against Boston and won both with the new lineup. So, uh, just a tidbit of information.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. All right, so we got 2 votes for the Colorado Boston game, and so far 1 vote for the Boston LA game. 2 others, one for Seattle, one for Dallas. So there's a chance Seattle
Hey,
or Dallas win this Boston LA game, guys.
yeah.
This is spicy.
Austin wants to know what the chat's record was last week.
So the chat's record was, if I can pull this up, 7-5. That's what it was, 7-5. So chat, I think, also got fucked over by Colorado. I'm pretty sure they picked Colorado in every game, and we lost 3 of them. So of their 5 losses that they took, 3 of them were our fault. But the
God.
other 2, let's go back and look. The other 2 were New Jersey over Seattle and Toronto over Boston, both on Friday.
Botched it, folks.
Yep. All right, so for this one, we've got 1 vote for Boston, 1 vote for LA. Wow, chat, you guys kind of suck compared to last week at putting in predictions. This is kind of sad. We were at least getting 5 or 6 every time with less viewers last week, so I'm a little disappointed this time around. You're just gonna have to step your game up here. There we go. There's a third one. All right, that's what I like to see. All right, next game is New Jersey and Toronto. So this has been I don't want to say nightmare because the games have been relatively close, but this has really been the thorn in the side of New Jersey, KP and the Toronto team. They cannot seem to find a way to beat them up to this point in the season. So hasn't really been great for them so far. Toronto is up 3-0, so they already own the head-to-head tiebreaker, which could have significant implications as far as who gets second or third seed. But if they both hold those spots, they're going to play against each other anyway, so whoever's second or third doesn't really make a difference. So a lot would have to change for that to really matter. But nonetheless, Toronto is up with the 3-game lead, winning by an average of 2 goals every time. Tony, we'll start with you again on this one. Who do you think is going to win
Okay.
this?
I don't know. This is a tough one because on one hand, Toronto has dominated. On the other, it's a different team they were playing against. You know, it's
It's a different auto they're playing with, though.
yeah, and that's another thing. I think I'm gonna go Toronto, but this one is like I could see Otto being ready and being fine, and that'll cause a lot of issues on with this new team. The more conventional looking Toronto.
Chat, get those votes in while we go through here. Kiwi, you're next.
I'm gonna say, give Otto the weekend to get used to his mouse, and New Jersey is going to take the win here. Without Owl, yeah, Owl seems to do well against New Jersey, so no Owl, no win. I think Austin puts it best.
So you're thinking it's New Jersey?
100% guarantee it. Put my first child's life on it.
Chat,
Put Taze's
chat seems
child's
to
life on it.
chat seems to
Put
think the same thing.
Put
So
Taze's first child, Omaha's third child, and
oh yeah,
yeah.
we're 4-0 for New Jersey here from the chat. Yeah,
Wild
I'm
stuff.
gonna go with New Jersey as well. I think there's obviously the caveat of Otto not necessarily being super comfortable with his mouse yet, and the fact that Toronto has their new lineup. I picked against Toronto for that reason earlier, and I'm going to pick against them for this reason now. I think the what Otto is capable of providing is still enough to keep them competitive in this game. And I think this will be the finally the time where they break through and actually win the game against Tor here. So, all right, next game is New Jersey versus Colorado, which has been a very interesting series so far. I think it's the only series where the team that currently has the head-to-head record has a negative goal differential. Pretty rare when that happens. So definitely interesting to see. So Kiwi, we'll start with you here. Chat, go ahead and get your votes in New Jersey and
Uh,
Colorado.
no Quacky plus motivated Marchie. Kind of fucks up the math there, but I think I'm gonna go with another New Jersey thwomping, even a harder thwomping than before.
Hard to get harder than 6-0. So
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know about 6-0. I'm gonna maybe guess a mercy here too. Yeah, that might be in the cards.
I don't think it'll be a mercy, but I am also gonna go New Jersey for this one. Don't like the lack of Quacky, and Otto will be better than he was on Friday by this time, I'm sure. So
He's playing
yeah, too
StarCraft 2
dangerous.
right now, so I don't think he really
No,
cares
maybe not.
about
Maybe he's
about
garbage.
LHL actually. Yeah.
Might have to switch my vote. Nah, yeah, I think Colorado has another rough day ahead of them before they.
I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think
Um,
you win that Boston game,
it
but
looks like
playing Otto is a different animal.
yeah, it definitely is. And it looks like chat is going with New Jersey as well. 2, 3 votes for New Jersey here. So seem to be all on the same page there. Okay, so final game of the night on Tuesday is a huge one. The last game that will take place before the trade deadline, LA and Seattle. And unfortunately, neither of you guys can predict this game, so this is all on me to determine what happens here. So chat, help me out with this one. Let's get some votes in. I'm going to say, and please don't hate me for saying it, either of you, but
Tie.
I think Seattle is going to win this game
Why would I hate you for that?
because I think you're gonna suck.
No. That's not even a prediction.
Tony's gonna put in an own goal, and Seattle is gonna win. No, but actually,
I screwed one up bad against New Jersey. Oh, I went for something stupid against New Jersey. Almost got a scored on. Goose saved my ass. So Guy's gonna have to do the same thing.
yeah, I mean, I think Guy and Net is obviously poses a somewhat unknown but potentially big threat to a team that already doesn't.
Oh, can I make a
That
Tuesday
already isn't
prediction? Guy gets a goal.
okay. Uh,
Yeah.
Anyway, I think yeah, as much as he's an unknown, we don't know exactly what we're going to get from him. I think the potential for him to be a force in net is absolutely there, And for a team that already struggles to generate offense and score a lot, I think LA is going to really be put to the test here to make the most out of the opportunities that they do get. And that's going to be tough against the team that so far this season has played really well defensively. It's one of the better teams in terms of shots against per game, if I remember correctly. So they're not going to be given a whole lot of opportunities, and
Currently the best.
in order for LA to actually
Ooh.
win, they're going to need to be almost flawless on the chances that they do get. So
Yeah, that's not happening.
I ba- based on how this season has gone, I'm definitely not going to err towards that. I think it's more likely that Seattle does win this, but I think LA will give us a good day of games here on Tuesday. So I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to go down without a fight here. I think this will be another classic LA one goal
It
loss.
should be a good day.
Oh, I
Wish we
love
had
it.
all these games being streamed. People could check them out when they weren't in. Sad. Oh, by the way, Austin pointed out we didn't mention it, but well, we kind of glossed over that 6-0 New Jersey win over Colorado. That Narg was unreal that game, and that game was not like a classic 6-0 game, not like the first one of the season, Colorado against us, where it was like, yeah, we got mercy, we got shit kicked out of us, fine. That one was pretty good effort by Narg.
Yeah, Narg saved that game from being like 3-3 or whatever going into the third period, and then
Yeah.
they just kind of ran away with it at that point. So certainly the case. All right, shall we move on to the Friday games?
Yeah.
Before we talk about this LA New Jersey game, I just want to say we've had close games against New Jersey, and last game had a really fucking bullshit goal. There's two bullshit goals. One I hit PK, and two, there's one where Zam was trying to clear the puck out, and I just my stick in the air, just trying to get it out of the way, and it hits my stick and drops out in front. So I'm mad. I was pretty fucking mad about that one. Well, we always had close games against New Jersey, but
All right, check. Get these votes in New Jersey and LA. So the last time you guys played was instead of just a one goal game like it usually is, it was a 2 goal game this time. Big difference. You guys lost 4-2, but you did hold Otto to only 1 goal yet again. Mouse be damned. So I think the tough part about predicting this is that the outcome of this game is entirely dependent on what happens on Tuesday. If
because of the trade deadline.
exactly
Yeah.
because of
Do
the
you
trade
think do you
deadline.
think LA with Ike and Gregors is gonna beat New Jersey with Otto and Taze and PK and
That's
Kiwi?
so that's kind of where I'm going with this. I think if LA has the same lineup on Friday that they do on Tuesday, I think LA actually probably does win this game. But because of what I predicted on Tuesday and LA only going 1-1, I do think we are going to see some trades that LA is going to be on the, in quotes, losing side of. And I think as a result, they're not going to be in the same or at the same level of competitiveness that they're currently capable of, fielding a new lineup that has to learn how to play together and everything like that. Not to mention they're probably going up against one of the teams that is likely to be trading with them, so likely to have the pieces that, the potentially the PKs, the Kiwis, the Tazes of the world that they'd be looking at moving. So I think this could pretty easily be a New Jersey blowout victory, and that's what I think is likely going to happen after we see some Tuesday trades.
Yeah, me too. I see a big win for New Jersey here, and followed up by Kiwi making an apology paragraph sent to his former teammates on LA for getting 2 assists against them.
I don't know where I'm going. Right? I don't even know if I'm going anywhere. I want this this hearsay of me going to New Jersey to be squashed because Austin, can you squash that in the chat, please?
I'm picking New Jersey though. Unfortunately, I think this will end up looking like a different LA team by Friday.
Yeah, I'm thinking
That's
it
my
will as
prediction.
well. And
Shitty as it is, team
Kiwi,
of
have
buddies.
have Zam reach out to Cap. We'll find a home for you.
I'm not. Oh my god, dude.
I'm gonna need a forward. I'm gonna need a forward partner after we move Quacky to D. So
can I get Taze and like maybe PK and Zam?
I'm not the GM. Everyone talks to me like I'm the fucking GM.
Zam?
Well, you know why everyone talks to you like you're the GM is because you
I
talk to everyone else and Zam doesn't. So
That's we
I-
had jokes about that. Like we had a little good cop bad cop scenario going on.
it's almost like you're the PR person that interfaces with everybody else, and then Zam's the guy behind the curtain, and nobody
Exactly.
gets to talk to Zam because all I ever hear about is how Zam doesn't respond to anybody, but how you're always, you've always got your nose in every trade. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's up in my draft value for
match made in heaven there for the two of you. So
it works out pretty well because
yeah.
Zam doesn't reply and people get thirsty, so then I talk to them and it gets them.
Goose says he
They're
was my
just
GM
begging
on
for me.
Washington season 19.
I believe it.
I grabbed a hold of KP and I fucking
Shook his pants. Fucking emptied the change out of his pocket.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's get to the next game of the night so we can keep pushing through this as we're already
God,
almost
it's
at
almost 10:30.
yeah, we're already
my
at
God.
almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's been a long one. So Colorado and Toronto. Chat, let's get these votes in. Kiwi, we'll start with you this time.
I don't want to say Colorado's going fucking 0-4 this week, but I don't know. It was looking rough.
And with the way
last
we're
two
playing,
games,
that's
so.
a reasonable expectation. So
Fuck, do I? Okay, yeah, I think I gotta give Toronto some credit here. So, I think I'm gonna put Toronto here.
I am not. I'm gonna go Colorado. I think they're gonna be flying in with some weird shit with like Quacky maybe on D by this time, and it'll be not quite what Toronto's expecting.
Yeah.
all right, we got 3 votes so far, 2 for Toronto, 1 for Colorado. Let's go, chat. I know you're in pub stars. Tab out takes 2 letters, 3 letters. LA or law. You could type the law in. That's really the problem, Kiwi, is you guys weren't allowed to be law. If you guys
Yeah.
were the law, you would be in a playoff
You
spot
guys
right
would
now.
We'd be laying down the law,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
He's laying down the
I
law.
just
right
want to know.
now.
I want everyone to know that I advocated for law and I was shot down and told that was dumb.
Yeah, because he wrote it out in the schedule and it was like, ooh.
Cap and Tony were like, "What the fuck is that?"
Well, yeah, what the law?
They also didn't like
Law.
NJA. I thought NJA was better than just NJ.
Yeah, I like the NJ too.
Something Jith attitude. I don't know.
That's right,
I'm trying to
Kiwi.
figure it out.
Kiwi and I are gonna overthrow the current BOC. We're gonna take over next season.
That's the next logical step.
on the
I'm the
BOC.
shadow. I'm the shadow GM, and I'm
Ninja.
gonna be shadow BOC.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Then we'll bring back the BOA so you can be Shadow BOA too.
Yeah, what's Omaha up to? Him and his 2 kids. Him and his 2 kids are gonna be the BO.
They're the board. They're on the board.
Well, we can bring Tase's kid onto the BOA next year, so
Yeah,
be perfect.
that kid. That's gonna be the youngest HQM player of all time.
Taze was going in depth, talking to his wife on Discord today about how he could get breast milk from if he can substitute breast milk for
I didn't
for regular
know
milk.
that. I did not need to
Everyone
know that.
Why would you share that here?
Everyone knows Taze is a
He
avid
is a
fan
milk
of
drinker.
milk.
Yeah.
He was asking how she could make it chocolate.
I mean, look,
He
I
said,
like
and I
milk
quote,
too. I'm a big fan of milk, but I do not drink it to the
I
same
hope milk.
extent that Taze did. I'll tell you a story. Ready for this? We went to MLG Columbus together. If you don't know what that is, it was a major championship in Counter-Strike 4 years ago now, I think it was, maybe 3. So Cap and Taze and I went together, and Taze gets out of
And
his
Briz.
car. And Briz, yeah. Although Briz was sort of there, we didn't plan on going with him. But Taze gets out of his car at the hotel with a thing of milk in his hand, like after the drive there out to Columbus from Chicago. So he drove all the way there with like a carton of milk or whatever, and was just drinking
Yeah,
it. It was
he's
so
told us
funny.
the secret. Yeah, he told us sometimes the best thing to do is pour a glass of milk, let it sit for minute, let it get up to room
God.
temp, and
No,
that's best.
no.
Swear
no.
to God, I
Milk,
swear to God, I
no.
said it.
So I'm
God.
also a fan of drinking milk, and I like strawberry milk, chocolate milk, regular milk, all of it. I'm a big fan of it, but
Gotta be cold though.
always has to be like ice cold. You can't have milk that is warm or like room temperature. That is just fucking gross.
Yeah,
Who drinks more
Sully
milk
was
in the
right.
year- Who drinks more milk in the year 2021, Taze or his kid?
100%.
No. I mean, if it's
Yeah.
anything like the boys, maybe it's both of them.
Oh Jesus, that was disgusting.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. One time I went over his place and I We went to go to bed. We were about to go ready to sleep, and then I realized I need to ask him for a blanket because I had I had an air mattress and a blanket, and I go and he's sitting in bed with a glass of milk. He had to slip one in right before bedtime.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
That's
Gee,
amazing.
what is like that's like it goes beyond like a meme. Like it is
Yeah.
actually crazy.
It's kind of like Tays no backhand. Tays with the milk and Tays no backhand are just incredible. There's also the
Oh
time
my
at the
God.
first hockey con where Tays got caught jerking off in the bathroom, but
Oh yeah.
I did
But
not know that.
he was milking it.
go
Oh my
go ahead and ask him about it.
No,
He'll tell you all about it.
no, that
That
is
was
not.
This thing is a
That is
lie.
the
That's a
no,
lie.
that is
Okay,
the
all right,
oldest
look,
HQM
look.
urban legend of all time.
It
That is
look,
not true.
it might be a lie. It might be a
Yeah.
lie, but we
But
used to
it's the
tell that.
story, and they're
Yeah,
sitting by it.
we used to ask Stu about it, Kiwi or Taze. They'll both tell you because that was the first thing we told everybody because everyone was always like, "Oh, how was it meeting these people?" We were just like, "Well, we walked in on Taze jerking off in the bathroom, but beyond that, it was a good time." And so many people believed it. It was amazing.
You should have told the story of the Philly con where he was drinking milk. He had
When he
a
did the
half gallon.
look-up
Remember, it
turn
was
Yeah,
and
he
with
cheaper
his
did.
cheaper to
wife.
He
buy.
did. Yeah,
It was cheaper to buy the half gallon than it was to buy like a
like a
little
regular
single
bottle.
serving. So
Yeah.
Oh
he,
my
so he
Yep.
got a half gallon. I
Uh,
love him though. I love that man.
Taze.
So
The Philly Hockey Con is underrated. That was a good one.
it's
That's
up
a good
there.
one.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to make sure that kid's getting his like they're gonna be like it's not getting enough food. It's not getting enough,
Where's
we're
all the
buying
milk going?
Well, he might be safe. As
Uh,
Omaha told me, is that when a woman first starts making milk about a week after the child's born, it's yellow and it's full of nutrients. So I think he might back off when he sees it's yellow. He's
I
a
mean,
put 'em on
hey,
milk
pure
if
white
he
milk
never
drinker.
sees it before it makes it into his mouth, is he gonna
Oh.
is it gonna matter?
Point.
So
That's a good point.
let's
Well,
get
anyway, we
let's
got a
get back
bunch
to
of
LHL
predictions left.
predictions. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Well, one of these episodes we'll sit down and talk about all the fabled HQM memes and shit
Austin
like
said
that. That'd be
Bear
a fun
drank
one.
milk out of a Gatorade bottle.
No, that's worse than anything.
That is the worst milk story of all.
Ugh.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
nasty.
So Boston, Seattle. Chat, let's go ahead and get these predictions in. So I picked against or I did I pick against Boston? Yeah, I did. I picked against Boston with LA and I did not get to choose between them or us, even though they're gonna beat us. But I think Boston is going to show up to play on Friday here. I think they are going to be able to take the win over Seattle, though this is a huge, huge game. Obviously, we don't know what the standings are going to look like going into Friday's games, but I'd say it's very likely that Seattle is either, 2 points above Boston or Boston has retained a 1 point lead over Seattle. They're going to be within one game of each other, very likely. So this game will probably determine going into the final 2 weeks of the season who's actually going to be holding that fourth seed slot. So I'm very excited for this one. That's going to be my game of the day, or honestly even game of the week will be that matchup right there.
Yeah, it's gonna help determine the 5th and 6th spots when LA takes 4th.
True, yep.
I'm gonna continue my bashing of Sully because I think he's taking it a little personally now that I said it was a wrong move to trade Taze, which it was. I'm gonna triple down on that, and I'm gonna give this one to Seattle.
Yeah, chat's going big on Seattle right now.
I think
We did
they're
just beat
playing
them.
well. I think Boston
I see
downgraded a bit.
the recency of it.
I think Seattle's a great defensive team, which will be able to limit the chances that, Dallas does a very good job at slowing things down and drawing people in, but I don't think it's going to be enough to topple Seattle.
Yeah, they're gonna need Owl and Drag to have big games in this one for sure.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be, I said before that I think Dalf is the X factor. I still believe that. He's the X factor. Paco's the best player on the team, but this is the type of game where you need
Boston's gonna need to
your
have Kiwi and Taze really show up.
yeah,
here
you
in
need
this
your role
post-trade
players
deadline game.
to show
Could
up
you
big
imagine
and
trading Owl back for Taze? It'd be funny as fuck.
and I'm thinking that in the third period when they're down by 1 goal, Sully's gonna put PK in for the
Yeah.
final period, and he's gonna shut him out
Yeah.
and hold on to a victory. So
God,
Story's
PK,
gonna
can
let
we
in the
just mention
ground,
again?
isn't
I
it?
don't think I really mentioned about just how great PK is. He's
PK
out of his
PK's
mind.
having
He's
an
having an
insane
awesome season.
season, and this is the quality of season that like if he were on a team that isn't last place right now, he'd probably be at like a 70% save rate, and we'd be talking about how this is one of the best seasons of all time.
Yep,
And
couldn't have that happen.
the fact that he's not
Yeah.
winning more games is taking away from that storyline, and I think that's like just criminal. He's been unbelievably good,
Yeah,
like
if PK gets
unbelievably good.
moved at the deadline, I bet you he wins the cup this season.
Why? What'd
Yeah,
he
it
do?
wouldn't surprise me.
I
He's
think
playing
any
so
team.
good.
I'm not sold on any team being the for sure
Well,
contender right now,
you
and I
got
think any of these playoff teams, if they had PK, even
you
I mean
gotta
Sully's good, but
talk
even to
to
jump up to the extra 5 save percentage or even higher if he's on,
Yeah,
you gotta
who
you
knows?
five save
gotta just
percentage in that environment too. Like imagine what he'd do on a team that's a bit more cohesive in terms of how well they play together right now.
yeah. Let's just say I think other GMs need to grasp that where if you're getting a big piece like PK, you're gonna need to take a loss somewhere else. So that's usually how trades work.
Crab.
I think I think he's talking about
Yes,
somebody else.
Crab. Yes, Crab, and there's maybe a few more names in there.
Look,
But let's go.
I
Let's
don't
go.
know
Let's go
I
to
don't know
LA
who you
Gulf.
guys have been talking to about
Yeah.
PK, so I'm just gonna throw out Crab there because he's infamous for never wanting to take a loss anywhere in any trade ever. So okay, let's go to the next one. Looks like we have pretty heavy Seattle favorite there from the chat. So LA, Colorado. So Kiwi and I can't vote on this one. So chat, go ahead and help Tony out. But Tony, you're up.
Oh goodness gracious. Oof. I don't know. Colorado, you've been letting me down. LA did just beat you. But if you're going off of the reasoning of, I think, the week Tuesday might cause a trade, or if PK's gone by then. Ooh, I'm not so sure. Nah, different. I think Colorado's gonna have a good day. I'm going Colorado. I think Colorado's a good day, even if they don't quite hit 100%, and maybe they don't continue it on the week after. I bet they have a good day here.
Sounds good.
Too much talent. Too much talent to keep it going.
Looks like we're at 2-1 Colorado over LA from the chat too. So chat looks like it's agreeing with you.
I don't know. Even after the trades, I bet LA is competitive.
I think they'll be
I can't.
competitive,
Yeah,
but
I can't imagine
it's not
there's
just about
trades you can make that would actually like ruin the team either. So
it's
I don't
not
want to
just
like
about
just shit on.
it's not just about being competitive though. It's about being able to play well together. And if there's enough of a
Yeah.
shakeup where they've got, like 3 new players on the team, it could take them a couple days to figure out how to play together properly. So I could see
I think
some.
Paco's pretty good at adjusting new play styles, so I think he should be
That's true.
fine.
That's true. Paco will be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. Yeah.
We're thinking about this the wrong way. The other teams are gonna be blowing it up, giving pieces to LA.
All right.
I don't
Let's
know.
get to
Al for Taze, Kiwi for Paco. I don't know.
let's get to the second to last game of the night, and the last one that all 3 of us can actually pick between. So this is Boston and Toronto. So much like Toronto has been the kryptonite for New Jersey up to this point, Boston has been the kryptonite for Toronto, and I do think this is going to continue. I think Boston is a team that's built well to handle unorthodox play styles, and I think that's why they've done well historically against Toronto so far. And I think Toronto not being able to do that style as effectively as they were is going to set them further behind here, short of any sort of brute force goal scoring from Lalu and KP, which is always possible. But I think Sully is reliable enough to sort of not give up a bunch to them, and I think Paco will be able to bring this one home for them. Looks like chat's split on this one, so we'll go to you, Kiwi, see what you think.
Um, why would I give up on what's working so well for me? Just going against Boston in every way, shape, and form. I think I'm gonna go with a Toronto win with a J Lalu hat trick, and he tells Delph to suck it in game chat.
He doesn't just poke him on TeamSpeak about it.
Oh
Like
God,
that finals way back.
Jesus. All right,
Oh
Tony,
God.
you're up.
Yeah. I want to pick Toronto for both. Well, obviously, I want Boston to lose. Sorry, Boston, but I really didn't like how Toronto played them yesterday. Yeah, it was awful. Like they could not get anything going, and so I really want to pick Toronto here, but I don't believe in it. They gotta show me more. Of course, I mean a week from now, maybe they'll be playing a little better. Yeah, give me Toronto, give me Jay Lalu hat trick.
Okay,
Fuck
putting
yeah,
it
I'd
in.
love that. Love to hear that.
Looks
Uh,
like
ju-
looks like it's tied, Boston and Toronto in the chat. We got 2-2, so pretty split on this one, which seems to be pretty consistent with where the three of us were at. I think we all kind of agree that game could go either direction.
Yeah.
Sully breaking the tie here with Boston. KP hasn't voted yet, though. I'm sure he'll say Toronto.
Oh,
Oh,
Bert says
there's
Boston.
Bert says Boston. All right, so well, looks like I'm right, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, if it's anything like it was yesterday, it's an easy Boston win. Like easy, but I'm gambling on a week from now. Jay Lalu being at his
Yeah,
peak.
Yeah,
Taze feeding
they're
Lalu.
they're gonna have to
Taste
show
feeding
us.
Lalu.
Toronto's gonna have to show us a lot more, really, on Tuesday. That they can be a lot better against Boston than what they have been up to this point. Because losing 3-0 was obviously not a great look. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, final game is Seattle and New Jersey. So this one, not as big of an implication on the playoffs, but still a team that you guys are chasing that is still close enough to potentially fall out of a playoff spot, being only 4 points ahead of you guys on Seattle. So I personally think New Jersey is going to be able to take this one. I think Otto will be used to his mouse enough to get back to his usual, 3 goals a game that he's capable of providing here. So I think we're going to see him put the moves on Goose as two longtime friends going against each other here. Gatos versus Otto himself. So, but yeah, I think Otto comes out on top of this one. Kiwi?
Um, yeah, I really want to say Seattle keeps getting wins here, but I think New Jersey's gonna have a pretty good showing for it.
With
It's
PK and
Otto.
Days on
It's
their
Otto.
team.
Yeah, I think me and Otto are gonna be able to pick up where we left off season 19. PK's gonna have a good shutout, and then Johnny Hockey might walk around.
Just the whole team. The whole
Yeah,
team
we just
goes.
swap teams. Just throw Otto in instead. But yeah, no, I think New Jersey's gonna have a good win here. It's
I
gonna be a
think a lot
close
of
one
teams would do that trade there where you swap teams, but you get out.
though.
All right, so that ends the predictions. Looks like in chat the predictions for that game was 3-2 in favor of Seattle. So, Kiwi, I suppose either chat is retarded or we are. We'll find out on Friday.
I think
We
people are
will
going
find out. We
based
will
off of
find
the
out.
last games rather than a week from now.
Yeah.
You never know. You know.
Something interesting I do want to say as a side note here. I just saw Marchie in a Pubstar game go
Oh
end
my
to
God.
end and shoot a backhand goal. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen.
He's warming up.
Is
So
it? Was it some
can we go
shit
back
you've
on
never
can we
seen
go back
before?
on some of these predictions?
Look, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Marchie might have the biggest brain of all. If you ask Austin, he does have a huge brain. Austin believes in him. So
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I asked Marchie. I said, "Hey, Marchie, if you get traded to LA, will you stop showing up?" And he said,
He said,
I
"Who is
sent it to you.
this?"
And he said, "Who's the GM?" I said, "Zam." He's like, "I don't know. I guess it would. I would. I wouldn't go out of my way to though. Like maybe
he
50%
told
of the
us that,
games."
and then he's
Okay.
shown up for all but one game. So
That's true.
and we
Freaking
shit on him a
weasel.
lot.
Did his
So
girlfriend show up?
Yeah,
no,
she
not
coming
yet.
too?
She hasn't made an
Oh my
appearance yet.
God.
But
If that would change predictions big time.
yeah,
Those are 4 losses.
he told us some stories about him and his girlfriend though that were a little bit uncool. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't really want to share any of those on stream. Unlike Taze drinking breast milk, it's a little too unfit for these
Hayes, I can't
audiences.
wait. Kiwi, did you get him a bib yet?
Oh fuck!
He's just
I should.
sitting there waiting.
I gotta get something for his
Holy
kid.
fuck.
I gotta get him and his kid a matching bib. That'd be funny as fuck. Matching breast milk bottle.
Oh, God.
God. Okay.
Fucking a breast
So,
milk pump mouth attachment.
oh, that's disgusting. All right, so I want to take a few minutes here before we get into some final potential thoughts about the trade deadline. But I want to take a couple minutes to talk about sort of where we think the awards might end up based
Oh
on
yeah, I forgot
how
about
things
that.
are going here so far in the season. As we did hit the halfway point of the season this week, it was on Tuesday this past week on the 13th game. So we're actually, I think it's 60% of the way through now. But yeah, just over the halfway point. So I wanted to take a look and sort of get your guys' thoughts on what some of these awards might look like. We won't do all of them. We're just going to do a handful, like 5 or 6 maybe. A lot of them obviously wind up being statistical, so predicting them is kind of not really as fun. But let's start with the first one that I think will be interesting. Who do you guys think is going to end up with the first seed and win the Kulixer Trophy?
It's gonna be New Jersey or Toronto. It's gonna be tough to stop New Jersey, especially after Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet New Jersey.
I'm gonna say New Jersey, regardless of what happens on Tuesday. I think I'm gonna say New Jersey.
Yeah, I see New Jersey probably. Well, I wouldn't right now. I'd say Colorado is probably likely to kind of pick up some wins here and just
Yeah, they're
maintain
not
it.
gonna go
Like,
fucking 0
yeah,
and whatever. But
exactly. They're not just gonna like barely make the playoffs. They could very easily still make first seed, and that would be my pick. But I'm gonna gamble here on the trade deadline, swinging in New Jersey's favor compared to Colorado's.
All right, what about the Winters Award for MVP?
well, Dial,
This one should be pretty.
where's your thoughts, Dial?
Well, look, I think we're gonna. Is it unlikely for us to fall past second? Yes. Do I have faith in us managing to still do that? Yes. So right now, I don't think we're going to end up any better than a second or third seed team. We have a 7 point lead currently, but we're doing our best to piss that away every single day. And having another day without Quacky where we could easily go 0-2 could put us now only 1 point ahead of Toronto, or I guess it would be what, 3 points ahead of New Jersey. That really is not a whole lot of leeway over the final 8 games of the season, especially if either of those two teams get better on the trade deadline day and we don't. So I am lacking confidence in our team at the moment and in us as players, myself included, and I think that's pretty warranted given how fucking trash we've been playing. So I don't really see that changing. I personally think we'll probably see Toronto in first seed. That would be my
That's
most
yeah.
likely choice.
Yeah, if
All
things
right.
were to progress right now, no trades made, Toronto would probably be my pick. But
Yeah.
I'm not seeing no more trades happening.
Yep. I mean, I hope that our
Call these out in the
team
chat too.
I hope that our team proves me wrong. I mean, I'd like to prove me wrong, but until we play better than we have in the last 6 games, I can't confidently say that that's going to be the case. So
Yeah. Well, all right.
it's entirely within our control. All
What's
right,
the next
so
one?
MVP. I'll go first on this one since I made you guys go
I went
first last time. It's Otto. Like, I mean, I think we all have the exact same answer, right? Like, we could call the vote today and just not even include the rest of the season, and it would still be correct to give it to Otto, regardless of how the season goes. Like, New Jersey could lose every single game from here on out, and Otto would still be the MVP in my mind.
Yeah. Otto is both, to me, he's the best player in the league, and he is the most valuable to his
Agreed.
team.
Agreed.
Like, there's just, I think he's got it. Of course, I think the ballot would probably end up being, I don't know, is it always three? Do we always go top three for MVP? Or do we
Yeah.
put,
Yeah. It'd be
because
either
it's
one from
kind of
every
close to me.
team.
I could see my three gut instinct would be Otto, Dial, and Paco on the
PK. Come
ballot.
on.
But if I were to go to five, I would throw Kill and PK on there.
I think yeah, I think it's definitely Auto, but I don't know. PK deserves a
Yeah.
very tender shout out.
Here's a
He
shout out.
he
I don't know.
definitely
It's
does.
so tough for a goalie to win MVP. Like it would
It
Yeah.
is. It
literally need to be
is.
something insane to
And
get that.
and what he's doing is insane. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong,
No.
it's unbelievable, but it's not resulting in enough wins, and I know that's not entirely within his control.
But
And
that's sort of the
and
thing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not against somebody being voted MVP if their team's not in the playoffs. I'm not outright against that. But for the team to be 3-12 and be that far out of
Yeah.
it and like not even really in immediate contention, it's really hard to justify somebody being MVP on that team, let
Versus a guy
alone
3.5 points a game and he's
yeah,
carrying and and they're getting the
yeah.
wins and they're
And it's more
yeah.
difficult because it's a goalie too. Like if LA has a, let's just say like Kiwi, you're scoring 3 points a game on that team and they're still 3-12. There's more of a justification potentially for it there because like you're contributing a lot more to being able to win the game, and that's a difficult thing to do. So I don't know, like not to say that PK's not, but just for a goalie on a losing team,
Yeah.
he'd have to have like a 70 plus save percentage and like a 2 goals against average for me to be willing to vote him MVP.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would like to live in that reality where I have 3 points per game. Can we do that?
I mean, like go back to the playoffs, season 19.
Yeah, just
Fuck.
pull that
Oh, yeah.
Kiwi out. Take him from the vault.
I think
He
that Kiwi may be coming out of the vault very soon.
he just
Oh
has to
no.
he just has to play against Eric.
Whatever it was that there's a key to the vault somewhere. So
We'll see.
Eric has the key, and you guys are taking it away by benching him for Guy. So
Eric's like the sleeping security guard. Otto's
Six
walking in to
goals in a
unlock the
finals
vault.
game. Was it 6 or 5 goals in a
It was
finals game?
6.
yeah,
Oh,
I think
God.
all of them
Let
were
Eric
breakaways.
trade Eric to one of the finals team. Fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking Eric hates me, I think, for that.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't think he hates you. I think he gets like flashbacks of it when he hops on the ice. I think he can see you. I think your model looks different than all the other ones.
all right. How
Uh,
about best defenseman?
Ooh,
well, oh God.
this
I
one's
don't know.
odd one to me, by the way. Like, if you, because I think I got my answer quick here. Uh,
Go
I
for it.
think Austin. I think Austin is the best defensively right now. And a big thing that a lot of defensemen, I think you see the rust on a lot of good ones that he doesn't have. Obviously, he's been practicing, but like he doesn't make the really bad plays that everybody else is prone to, myself included. Obviously, I'm a horrible, I make horrible plays. Austin doesn't really do that. You kind of see it like with Marchie, as somebody who will make a play and get burned if he screws it up. And like some other good defensemen, like Dalf, somebody will do that where he tries to do so much with the puck where he's QBing it all the time. He's he makes mistakes. It happens. It's not like his fault. It doesn't make him bad or anything. But like players like that who would usually be, I think, in contention aren't having the season that Austin is defensively. And he's playing with Tidge, who's not like
He's been up and
there's a
down.
guy
He's
who's
been up and
rusty
down this
coming out of
season.
it,
Yeah.
100 ping, struggles at times. Like Austin's doing a lot of heavy lifting for them.
That would be my vote as well. I think Austin it has been the best so far. I do also think he kind of benefits from the fact that a number of forwards and defensemen have kind of been switching around this season. Like we've seen you
Exactly.
change,
Yeah.
Crab change, we've seen
Leafs change is
Leafs
now a
change.
defenseman.
Zam has played a little bit on offense. Like Quacky might be going to defense here soon too. Like we've seen a lot of moving pieces in terms of who's playing D, who's playing O, whatever. So I think picking it is going to be a little tougher. I
Yeah.
think the other one you'd have to give a shout out to would be Owl. I think he is playing really
Yep.
well so far this season. He's got the most points as a defenseman right now.
He
So
doesn't play forward unlike everybody else. He
yeah,
hasn't played
so
anything at forward.
I think
I
yeah,
played a bunch of games on forward.
he's definitely a good shout for it.
Yeah.
I would pick Austin first. But I think Owl's close enough that it could certainly swing in that direction with over the course of the rest of the season. We'll see
The
how much Boston improves with having him there, but he's definitely got a lot of upside, and
break.
he's
Yeah.
shown a lot more than what I think a lot of people were capable of him. So
He's kind of what we knew he could be
And
kind of at the end of the
so
LHL.
so Sully's bringing up a good point, right? We're talking about Owl being one of the better defensemen in the league, or being up for that, but
Yeah,
also saying that
points wise.
Boston lost the trade.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
fair.
here's the thing.
It's
My
not
third,
fair.
the guy who'd be third on my ballot is what I'm, and it's not really as of this far, but what I'm predicting to be in the future would be Taser. Like he's
Yeah.
he's got it
Yep.
defensively where Owl doesn't, which is what will
And
Owl Owl could be the best defenseman, and he probably won't get it because of well, he could be the highest scoring defenseman, but I wouldn't call him the best defenseman right now. He doesn't, and he's not his he puts up the points. He's capable of moving the puck. Like he's a good ad for a lot of teams. Even though we didn't think he was a good fit for Boston because they
well,
already
so
sort of
so
had
that's
Valve.
that's what I was going to
That
get into, which I think is what
yeah,
Sully sort of lost here in his comment there is it's not that we're suggesting that Owl is bad or anything, but that Owl alongside Dalfan doesn't make anywhere near as much sense as Taze alongside Dalfan does, because that's a pair that like stylistically works well together. You've got somebody that likes to play more defensive oriented but has offensive upside and can mesh with other people really well. And then you've got somebody like Dalfan who's a higher offensive upside. Well, you've replaced that easy defenseman to play next to who allows you to play how you want to with Owl, who has a much more offensive and aggressive play style that is a lot more similar to what Dalfan wants to do. And a lot
you
of
got
times
two
pairing,
QBs.
yeah, a lot of the times pairing the two of them together, one reduces the effectiveness of both of them, but two also makes it more difficult to play team defense because a lot of the times they're going to both be thinking the same thing, going for the same thing, and you got to have people that cover back for them. So it helps having Paco there to actually rotate back and make that work, but it's a lot harder for Paco to cover for two aggressive defensemen coming up than it is for just one.
Yeah.
So that would be my caveat there. So
Yeah. I imagine Taze has a strong back end of this season.
yeah, I think he
Looked
will,
he looked
regardless
pretty
of
good on
whether he
LA
ends
and
up
those,
on Boston or New Jersey or Seattle, whatever. So
yeah, whatever team Taze ends up
yep,
on.
yep,
Yeah,
Even
Seattle.
if he ends up just playing with Zam, like I think Taze will have a good showing. He'll
yep,
really help the shots against LA's really struggled with this season.
for sure. All right, best goalie. I think this one kind of like
Yeah,
MVP.
watch.
Hey, I didn't get a best D man.
Oh,
but
you didn't say
I'm sorry.
I've kind of biased. I play with Zam and Taze, who I think
I'm
are
sorry.
both
So
really
go ahead,
great.
Kiwi. I
I think
apologize.
Zam had a really good game on Friday that is like tilting how I fucking feel about him. But I don't know. I haven't really seen much of Austin. We have played him, but like I don't know. I feel like I'm not focusing on that. You guys obviously watch stats and shit like that. So I'll trust you if you say Austin. But I think I don't know. I think I will just say I'm gonna stand up for my good friend Taze because I think a lot of people will see that he doesn't have the mechanical skill that other D-men have.
He's
And they
never
just
had that.
he's never had he's never had
he's
that.
literally
But
never had that.
he
It
still
doesn't
puts
matter.
up points and he's still like fucking amazing. Like he's still great even
There's
without
not
that.
too many defensemen where you're like, I mean, like, it's like, oh, this guy's gonna be tricky to get around, and Taze is still that, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
this guy is gonna be a problem.
Yeah, he's hard to play against.
There aren't too many defensemen like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, there's not the defensemen are bad, but the game's kind of different. Defensemen are different. It's
Yeah.
like they're not so good at
Uh,
getting stops
So
anymore
so I'll
like
I'll
they
put
used
it
to
this
be.
way. Taze is one of the few defensemen where I take note of the fact that I'm playing against Taze. Like a lot of the times as a forward, I don't really think about who's on defense because it doesn't make a
Yeah.
difference. I don't really care. But Taze is one of the few people that are good enough to command your respect as a
Yeah.
forward, and there aren't many people that you can say that about. And Taze has always been that for the course of his career. And while he's definitely not having like his best season ever or anything, he's still demonstrating that his like natural ability to play D is among the best in the league. And
Yeah.
he's going
I
to be
saw a
difficult
couple
to
of
play
good
against forever.
matchups watching that LA when I did stats for it, the LA Colorado game. Saw a couple of good Dial versus Taze. Then Dial did not come out on top on any of those one-on-ones.
No,
I
I did
remember
not.
Taze was looking good. He was looking like he was ready.
Yeah.
And that's
I
the
respect it.
difference. That's the difference between Taser and a lot of these other defensemen. I think Austin's not as like crazy like that, but like I said, I like how like Austin is just always making good plays. He's never putting his team in a bad spot. He never like most defensemen make plays that hurt their team at some point. Like that it happens the way the game works. Austin doesn't really do that. And he's pretty good defensively. He's good at getting to pucks.
Yeah.
It was just where, some of the other, like somebody like Owl, who's putting up a lot of points. He doesn't play defense like Austin does. So, or Taze does, but I don't think Austin plays defense like Taze either.
Yeah, I agree.
So no, it's all about
it's
what
deeper
you
than
value.
that.
It's sort
It's
of a
deeper than that.
defensive, offensive, and two-way guys you're looking at there, and it's just and my preference would be towards Austin in the middle.
All right, should we move on to best goalie?
Do we even need to, really?
No,
I mean, it's going to be a quick one. Yeah.
Shout out Bert, though.
Yeah, Bert, and Sully has been
Bert's-
playing well too. Sully's been a little bit more inconsistent than the other two have been this season. He's had some down games, but Sully's been really good over the course of the season. Bert's been excellent. And, then what else do you say about PK other than he's been tremendous? I mean,
He's been the best. It's
he's
like,
been
I
so
don't know.
good.
He faces the most shots. He faces some tough shots, and he's got the best save percentage.
And not even that. There's so many chances I think, like Otto especially, like is just straight up scared of PK.
Yeah.
So like even
PK...
when he has chance of them, Otto will shoot it wide. I think Otto is just like tells me after games how scared he is of PK.
Goose is bringing up that he's the only goalie that is sub 3 goals against so far this season. But he's also sub 60% save rate, and he's playing behind the best
he's
shots
end
against
up playing
per game.
under half the game. Well, actually, if he makes that last Tuesday, he'll play over. But yeah, probably not.
Yeah, like, are you playing poorly, Goose? No, you're definitely not. Like, you're playing well, but the difference between your save percentage and PK's, especially considering the quality of the team that you two both play with, I can't justify putting you over PK in that.
Hey, don't be an idiot.
Goose may be the best goalie, but is he having
well,
a better season than
it'll be
PK
really interesting to see what happens in the playoffs, assuming that Seattle makes it and still has Goose as the starting goalie here. Because Goose usually turns it up in the playoffs anyway, and with him playing every single game will be a different story. And he said it best in his interview. He tends to ramp up as the season goes on. So I certainly think he'll be in contention by the time we get around playoff time for, actually one of the best goalies in the playoffs. But I think for the time being, if you really if you were to vote for anybody other than PK right now, you're just being ignorant.
Yeah,
just fucking
PK,
invalidate that and invalidate all their votes.
Happy for PK, I guess.
All right, so
he's on my team.
Best GM so far. What do you think, Kiwi? We'll start with you since we've kind of glossed over you a little on the last two.
I think this one's a little early to call.
I'm gonna say someone who has messaged me some takes that I don't necessarily agree with, but his team's doing well, so I can't really disagree. But KP, he had a plan going in the draft. He followed it, and it's gone really well for him. I don't know if that Lally trade was really needed, considering how well his team was doing. But a lot of people gave him shit for his team, but it worked really well.
Yeah, but now he's giving up. I don't know. That would probably be my pick too, had they not just made this trade. They can still do it. If this team if they struggle, it's gonna be that's gonna be his fault for making that trade.
Yeah, which I also feel like this team is like one bad game from just completely falling apart. Like I feel like they're on a hot streak, and if they have a bad game where one thing goes wrong, it's just gonna be over for them.
Bert's
I don't know if they'd completely fall apart or anything, but
I don't know, dude. The team just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I know where you're coming from there, and to that extent, I think I would say KP's the GM I've been the most impressed with so far this season. I don't know if I'd say for sure he's the best GM. I think, like you pointed out, Tony, it's kind of too early to tell. What's going to happen at the trade deadline here will dictate a lot of
who does the most fleecing at the deadline.
Yeah, basically.
Also,
But I think KP would probably be the best case for early favorite here. He was in a tight position in the draft, given the way that the talent and everything was shaking out. So he was he had his hand forced, so to speak, but he did a good job of being in that position and generating a quality team out of it. And as somebody who's been in his position before, picking last in the draft, I totally understand the difficulty of doing that, especially when you're basically, going to have to rely on yourself to have to carry the games a lot of the time. So I think he's the early favorite, but it's not it's not a big lead on that or anything. And if the trade ends up going poorly, like this two-way or three-way trade or whatever that ended up getting them Lalu, like if that winds up not working out, that's basically going to cost him the award this season, in my opinion.
Lisa's saying, why does the trade not make sense? It's just like why? It just, I mean, you guys are doing, you're in second place. I don't know. And you guys seem to have a pretty good dynamic going on.
Yeah,
He's saying that he's saying it doesn't make sense that you don't understand why they play well.
Oh, I thought he was talking.
Yeah, he's
about,
talking
honestly,
about,
I don't know.
Not the trade. No, I think he's talking about Owl and Dalf, isn't he? Isn't that what he's talking about?
no,
not the trade.
no.
Yeah.
He's
honestly,
talking,
yeah, I
was
don't
talking
know.
back earlier.
No, you said you said it doesn't make sense that we're good, not the trade. That's what he's referring
That doesn't
to.
make sense.
Oh, sorry, I was reading that earlier.
As good as you are, I don't know. I don't know how. Like, when I say I don't know how you guys are winning games, I don't mean in a way like, oh, you guys should fucking suck.
I mean, in fairness, it's not like
know.
you're watching all the Toronto games
That's
through,
true.
right? So, I understand that. But it's put it this way, Leafs, the style that you guys play is not a meta HQM team, right? It's not something that would typically happen for a lot of teams or that a lot of teams could pull off. You guys are sort of twisting things in a way that works really well for you, but is not something that typically works well for most teams in the LHL. Like a lot of teams that have tried to do something like that in the past typically wind up not being able to maintain it for long enough during the season. So I think that's really where I don't want to say questions come from, but basically kind of that where the lack of understanding comes from, because it's just not something we see normally, and it's not something that we see work very frequently. So the fact that it is working and that you guys are pulling it off is a testament to the team that you guys have. So
thank you, now for wording it in a way that I couldn't.
I got you. All right. So last one here that we'll go through, steal of the draft. We talked about this one a couple times in a number of the episodes right after the draft, the one on draft night and the week one as well. The big ones that were brought up were Marchie and Ike. Those were the two that were most commonly touted there. I think Goose was mentioned as well. I think somebody may have mentioned Guy in there, if I remember correctly, just because of the potential impact he could have in the 12 games he could play. So those were some of the names that were kind of thrown out there, with the final one being Otto, being steal of the draft #1 because he's honestly worth more than the first overall pick.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Otto, he's maybe on the ballot, but
I don't know. I don't like including people that are have different attendance.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with maybe Goose and Guy.
Also,
Guy was winning big
I have some GMs talking to me that they're pretty upset with Guy's sign up, because in the
everybody was upset.
Because in the notes it says I can't play LOL, so it's kind of unsure that if he could make any games. So
we
tried
to be pretty public about
anybody
that.
who was doing their research by we were gonna take his name off the thing, and
Yeah.
I asked him, he said, "No, I can play for a little while." And if anybody had talked to him, they would have known he was gonna make at least the first few weeks and get his games played.
Exactly.
He was gonna get 12 games played for sure.
His name was almost taken off. I was actually not in favor of him being allowed to play. I was actually trying to rule against that. But we once it was agreed that he was going to be allowed to play, him playing only 50% of the games but making it for those 50%, that was not hidden from anybody. Like Cap and I were telling people that, Tony was telling people that. If any of the GMs didn't know that, they weren't.
Yeah, they literally didn't ask Guy.
Yeah, because Guy wasn't lying about that at all or anything, and we hadn't really spoken to Guy at all before the draft to say hey, we're gonna pick you or something like that. So
just a point I want to bring up, but I just want to say in general, I'm not a big fan of picking people that are have a lower
attendance pattern. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yep.
My thing with Ike too is he's playing with Otto. It's always a tough point. I mean, again, I do think he dropped farther than he should have, but it's hard to judge his performance because of Otto. It's always going to shape or kind of affect things for the better. So I don't know. I don't know really who I think would be a good pick here. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
So I think one that hasn't been mentioned, but given the season that he's having, could be worthy of discussing here would be Owl, actually. I know he got
Where's
picked.
he?
He
Second
got picked
round.
at the end of the second. Right, but if you're talking about somebody that might actually be getting votes for best defenseman this year, I mean, finding that at the end of the second round is impressive. So I think it's at least worth discussing as a potential possibility. But it's tough to say outside of that because none of the people that were drafted in the third or fourth round are really like performing at crazy levels right now. None of them are really like going above and beyond, similar to what we've seen in previous seasons where we saw like, Quacky in the fourth and then go on to have like 60 points or 70 points or some shit, right? Like we're not seeing anything like that this season. So I don't think there's any real clear favorite, and none of the goalies that were drafted sort of in those middle-ish rounds are really blowing it out either. So yeah, I would kind of agree with you, Kiwi. I don't think there's a set person to take it this season, at least not up to this point in time. But I think you'd have to kind of throw in Owl's name in the mix if you're gonna even consider him anywhere near best D.
Yeah, we're not getting a lot out of backups this season. Like the starter attendance is really good, and nobody's really making any switches. So like guys who I think would usually like Parabola's a guy in the fifth round who I thought would have played a bunch of games.
Yep.
First, I thought he would have been a
I
net. I
thought he
thought it
was
would have
gonna
been for a
start.
different team.
Yeah, I
But
thought he was gonna be a starter.
yeah, I thought he was going to start net, and he has 2 games played, and he was on forward. Didn't whatever.
His
Like
time's
you don't.
going.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on, so I can see going up to the second to maybe looking into, you know, a pick like that. It's hard to call it a steal when it's to me. I
Yeah,
don't like
no,
calling any of these. Like
I
the
know.
fourth round is where I would is kind of as high as I would usually go in the
I
past
so
voting on steal of the draft.
I'm usually willing to go up into the third for steal of the draft, but anything above that, typically, like if you're drafted in the top 12 picks, it's usually because you have expectations on you to perform. But again, finding somebody that is in contention for best D-man at the end of the second round, which may as well be a third round pick, I think is, I'll break my tradition for that at pick 12.
Patrician voting that high or hating Owl? Which one?
Oh, both.
Yeah, I'm just clearing that
If
up.
I'm gonna go highest I'm gonna go, and I'm not even
I
sold
heard
on
I
it.
heard KP was offering Owl for free to Boston, and they said no. You have to take take Taze back and trade him to LA for us. So
High as I'm gonna go, pick 15, PK Pacheng, but he's only the second goalie off the board. But
Yeah,
you
that's
get a goalie
He's a great
above and
pick,
beyond.
but
I think that would have to be. That's as high as I'm willing to go, and I don't even like it. Ike or PK, I don't know. Ike's starting, he's doing well. Fuck it, that's a steal. Couldn't believe people. That was You know what? That's the one. I think when he fell, people were like, "Oh man, what are you doing?"
Crab
What are
saying
you doing? Let
Eric
him drop.
steal of the
And he's not
draft.
crazy good or anything, but he's a starter. He's solidified his spot more so than I think some other starters this season. Like he's got, you know, he's a top performer, playing with Otto or not.
Eric's stealing something on Seattle, but it ain't it ain't positive.
Stealing years off of Crab's life.
I don't like
Anyway,
this Eric slander.
it's just we're just kidding. But I'm sure Eric's going to be really upset at us after this. So
I hope so.
yeah, that is usually how it goes. But
It's
I
not worth
mean,
shitting on him if he doesn't get upset.
truth hurts, He's got to hear it eventually, and he's never going to improve if he doesn't accept it. So,
Jesus Christ.
well, I mean, it is what it is. As his friend, I want to see him do well, but it ain't going to change until he acknowledges that he needs to improve and is willing to actually listen to constructive feedback on that.
I don't think Eric can be steal of the draft when if a trade went down and Zergle Tongue Thistle went to Seattle, I think he would be steal of the draft.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's happening anymore, sadly.
F
Zergle
for
was
Zergle
so
Tongue
hype.
Thistle's career.
What'd you say?
I said
Can't
F
tell.
for Zergle Tongue Thistle's career.
Feels so
Season
bad for him.
21. Keep
He has
him,
won
man.
a
Your time will
LHL
come.
Cup in net already, so
Yeah, it's insane that he
He
jumped
won
that
it
far.
while he was typing.
Tay's giving you the shout out in chat here, Kiwi. I think he missed the milk discussion though.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, don't go back, Jeff. Stay where you are. You're late as fuck anyway.
All right. So I think that gets us through all of the relevant awards anyway. The rest of them are mostly like either playoff related or just based on stats and like,
Who's
autos on
winning
pace
best
for
rookie? No one.
best
All right.
rookie. Yeah. I mean,
Never
if
looking.
if Owl hadn't started a bunch in
Yeah.
season 19, then
He was on the
maybe
Andy was on the list for best rookie in season 18. I think Radade's
yeah,
got it over him.
yeah, I think Owl is the newest player that is performing well, but in terms of what
Paco
we
played. No, I don't know.
in
Paco started in the season 19.
in terms of what we usually consider to be a rookie, I think Owl and Paco are both a little bit too late to the game for that, unfortunately. So
If only Blue Shadow had stuck through, he could have won best rookie.
yeah, but Payne has an outside chance for it if he ends up being
Oh
a
yeah,
starter.
I forgot. Oh God,
Possibility.
you better play him. He can win. Yeah,
I bet, and
he's the
that's
kind of
not
guy
my
who would
decision.
actually.
What do you mean I better play him?
It's your decision, Dial. We
No,
all
it's
know.
not.
If you told Cap, hey, you should play Payne, he'd be like, oh, really? Oh, wow, okay. Well, if Dial thinks so.
Kiwi, you're giving Jeff ideas in the chat.
Yeah, he said it. Not
Yeah,
me.
but now it's gonna
Dial,
happen. Might not
get
have
the bib,
before, but now it's gonna.
get the matching bibs.
All right. So that gets through the awards. Let's real quick circle back to the trade deadline stuff. We chatted about a lot of potential stuff. I know there are a lot of rumors involving LA, but let's sort of put some firm predictions down here. First and foremost, do you guys both think that there are going to be any trades on Tuesday?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't fucking say. I don't know. Maybe.
Somebody's not going to be happy with the team, whether it's LA, whatever. Something's going down. If New Jersey
Fucking
loses
it's
both
tough.
games,
Taves.
Austin's
Oh
trading
my
Otto to
God.
Colorado.
I can't. I fucking can't.
What?
Taves, you said I'll latch on so hard. Put it on Snap. What the fuck?
dude,
See, I told you it's gonna happen now. You put the idea in his head.
he was putting the idea in his own head earlier.
Oh God.
This is not good.
All
But
right.
okay.
Anyway.
I see. It's tough because I know some things. I know it's kind of in the works.
Do you think it's going to
I
get
don't want
done
to
though?
reveal too
Because
much.
I can't remember another season where we've had this many trade rumors and then this few trades as a result. Like usually in past seasons, a trade discussion will either break off immediately and won't happen anymore, or it will eventually lead to a trade happening. But like
Well,
every
it
trade
depends.
rumor that I've heard so far, which there've been a lot of them, none of them have actually come to fruition. And then we've gotten these kind of like out of nowhere smaller trades, and then that big three-way trade, which was kind of like not, I think, what anybody was really expecting, given all the stuff that had been put out there so far. So it feels like a lot of the GMs are just getting cold feet this season, to me.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think for Zam, everyone's looking for Zam to make a trade, and it's like pretty much he has to get fucked on a trade if people want to, because people know he doesn't really have much leverage. So it's just tough. It's tough because people are going to try to take advantage of him, which makes sense, because he's in last place. But I think there might be some moves in place if LA doesn't perform well. So I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't want to go anywhere unless Taze goes anywhere. But let the man suck titties on the playoff team. That's all I gotta say. Okay, Jeff's getting political. I don't like that.
Yeah, rough stuff.
All right.
But yeah, I think I don't want to say too much because again, I know shit. So
Tony, what do you think then, as somebody who's
yeah,
a little more
Yeah,
objective on the
I'll
situation?
add
for
to
sure going to be
discussion.
trades. It's going to be people are going to make moves, and there's I don't know. I think maybe we don't see the trades we're expecting. I think maybe we see some different ones that haven't been out there. Maybe something gets done on draft night, but there's going to be trades. No, all 6 GMs aren't going to look at their team after Tuesday and say, "Yep."
I don't think they
Done.
will. Like, I don't think all 6 teams are going to look at their teams and be happy. I don't think there's any GM out there who honestly looks at their team right now and doesn't believe that there are trades out there that could make the team better. I think if there's any GM that is currently looking at that or believes that, then they're not doing justice to their team, and they're not putting their team first and thinking about, the best way to make them succeed. So I certainly agree with what you're saying, but again, I think so many of the GMs have gotten cold feet and backed out on trades that I was confident was going to happen, and they didn't. And at this point, it's left me with zero faith that any of the GMs are going to be able to get this stuff done. I think if LA is the one outlier that could result in more trades happening, and I don't see a trade happening on Tuesday night that doesn't include LA unless it's like for a couple backups, like a Goucher Doucette thing. I could see something like that maybe. But in terms of like impactful trades, including starters and whatnot, I think LA has to be involved for any of those to really occur. And I think Zam has to, like Kiwi said, be willing to sort of be more on the losing end of the deal, or nothing's going to get done.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think if again, I don't want to say too much because I know some shit. Um, it just seems like there is, like you said, a lot of shit that's being talked about. Whether that comes to fruition, I think it will. I think there's one trade specifically that I can think of that is not like a really lose-lose. I think it might help LA. I think it would change up LA in a way that makes them worse in one area but better in another. But without
Assuming
saying
you
too
don't really want
much,
to say what that is, yeah.
yeah, I don't really want to say what that is, but yeah, I think that's one example of a trade that would not move completely be
Yeah,
bullshit.
uh-huh.
What? What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Yeah,
I hope
fuck.
Should
Cap
I should
trades
I
Dyal and
should I put
for
you
Otto.
should I put you on New Jersey's roster before the Tuesday games,
I
or just wait until after they're played?
I don't like this is one thing that like okay, this is something that has been in talks and whether or not it's gonna happen, I don't know. It's because it's like people are again. It's a situation where I think Zam doesn't want to. If he does one of the trades, it's kind of like giving up, and he's not quite able to do that. Even though again, I think both trades that are being talked about help New Jersey. Um, but again, it's a tough thing with Zam not having a lot of leverage, so it's hard. It's hard to really negotiate when one team would just say, okay, well, I'm still in a good spot. I don't really need to do this, and Zam's sitting here like, well, fuck, I gotta change shit up. So it's tough to really negotiate. So I think stuff's gonna happen. Whether or not it's me going to New Jersey, I don't know. That'd be awesome to play with Otto again. I think that'd be. Do I have value outside if I'm fucking paired with Otto? I don't know at this point. Maybe I tanked it enough. So see me in round 4 of the draft. Um, next
Otto's going to
season
be a
if
GM
nobody
next
spot
season
for
and
me.
pick you in the first round. So
No, he's not. He'd be so dumb to do that.
yeah, but
There's no
that's
point in Otto being a GM. And
but
maybe I'll be a GM and I'll get first overall pick and I'll pick
I
Otto.
don't believe that you're finally going to GM. I don't believe it.
I'd do it if I'm guaranteed to get Otto.
No shit. Anybody
Okay,
would
well then
GM if
don't
you
get traded to
except
his team
Tony, I
this
guess.
season because you might get too many points for that.
Fuck, you're right.
If you want first overall pick next season, you're going to have to not get traded to Otto's team.
Fuck, but if I go to Otto's team this season, it's like a guaranteed cup.
True,
Yeah.
Fuck.
but then next season isn't.
Is it worth
Yeah,
it?
but I get one guaranteed one. It's worth it. And yeah,
That's fair.
I'm not trying to say a lot of shit 'cause I don't even think this is gonna happen. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see what happens because things can really get shaken up. Taze is going to Seattle, and that's
For
pretty much
Tony.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It's likely. I would do that trade if I were Crab.
I think we gotta stop focusing on who's leaving Seattle or leaving LA and focus more on who's going to LA and who's gonna get fucked over. So
Tony.
that's really the more important thing.
I'll be cherry. I'll be scoring. I'll be like minus 40 at the end of the season, but I'll I'll be at 2 points a game.
The real strategy is for Cap to trade me and
So
trade me and like Marchie for Taze and PK or something. You
Oh,
know?
trade Quacky for Taze.
trade
No,
Quacky
because
and Dial
because
for Otto.
he Zam probably thinks Quacky's shitty or something. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all for Zam to believe that. So Cap should trade me and Marchie and Skis and then get like Taze, Kiwi, and PK back, and the team would be better.
No, I think Cap should play up, get Taze on a playoff team.
Taze back on Boston.
Nah. Sully doesn't want him anymore. Sully doesn't want him, and I don't know if Taze wants to go back there after being disrespected.
Yeah,
A lot of bad blood on that team. It's over. Paco said that Taze was balding, and then that was over from there.
Are you sure you can get that backwards?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But no, I don't know. I think Colorado needs defense. Taze doesn't want to be stranded on this team. So come on.
Paco's in
It
chat.
just makes sense.
Were you making fun of Taze? Were you
Nah,
questioning?
I'm just spreading false rumors.
Not more
That's my
bullshit.
fault.
It's like he was cranking at a hockey con. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Dial, just push Cap to play up with you, and then you can draft for Taze, and then we'll be good.
Paco's saying Taze is hot.
Yeah.
Paco and Taze love each other, and I really appreciate that.
That's kind of gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, good.
Okay.
Need a little man love in the HCAM
I don't
community.
know,
There's too
what-
much hate going around.
Can you guys stop getting me to try to talk about trades? Because I know shit. All right, I gotta. Be careful
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
say.
Yeah, that's why. What do you think you're here for? You know all the trades, and you're not spoiling. You're not leaking them.
I
wanna know about them
asked
before they happen.
my.
That's it.
my
I'm getting
GM.
Peter Lizen next time.
Yeah, get Peter. I wonder where he's doing. I'm gonna have to talk to. I'm gonna have to reach out. I haven't got a Reddit message back from him forever. I tried messaging him during the tournaments, but he didn't really say much, so I don't think. Maybe,
But he forgot
maybe
his
this season,
password.
Maybe, probably. So yeah, I talked to my GM and he said don't really expose too much, so I don't really want to do that. But I think I might have let on more than I should have already. So yeah, but me and Otto, I think we'll be able to pass really well. And then when Goose, because Goose it's a 3-way and Taze is going to Seattle. When Goose gets traded to what fucking team's in New Jersey? Yeah, we'll be pretty good. Well, it's gonna be the Washington Revival.
No, New Jersey's gonna trade for me and PK and Jabba, and we're gonna run Florida back.
No.
That's gonna go well again. That's sort of what we did on season 19, except we had you instead of Jabba, and it was a shit
Yeah, and you
team.
fought to not get me to play up. Yeah, so fuck you.
I fought to not have to play D.
That's true. Any sane person would.
Yeah.
except for well, Cap's gonna do that because Cap's gonna play forward and Taze's gonna play D. Quacky's
gonna play forward just like season 1.
With Taze's gonna be on D and Quacky's gonna be on LA. It's gonna be perfect. It literally would save both teams. Gives LA some offensive.
The secret is that
prowess.
Quacky's carrying Dial, though, that not many
Exactly.
know.
So Dial, what trade's happening? You say something.
Well,
I take a leak.
Like I said, I think if any trades happen, it's
I don't like. I want to hear a concrete trade that you think is gonna be.
I mean, I think you're going to New Jersey with one of Taze or PK, and I think New Jersey is going to try to trade Narg, Ike, and potentially somebody else like Tidge for a big trade to get like U/Taze or like U/PK, and then a backup involved in there. I think that's the most likely trade to happen out of any of the potential like situations and rumors and whatnot that I've heard so far. I think that's most realistic.
Jesus, that's what I love to hear.
That's what I see coming, and that's one that sort of I know a lot of the moving parts in and around there have been sort of on the table for a while, but the whole Kiwi for Ike thing has been tossed around here on the Faceoff before. I know it's been tossed around by people.
I literally willed it into existence.
Yeah, it's been out there for a while, and I think even before Tony said that it was something that Austin had considered, and other Austin, aka Kiwi, has considered as well. So I'm sure that it's something that is. It seems very reasonable that it could occur, basically, especially if
PK is too high. You did raise a good point. Changed my mind from the original trade way back in the day. It is now Kiwi and Taze for Ike and Tidge, I guess.
It's all like what? That would not get approved.
It shouldn't, no. But we'll see. That's the one that's going to be confirmed and brought to the BOC because PK is too valuable. can't be moved.
Yeah. How to trade? Okay. Let's just entertain this idea that I'm going to New Jersey.
I gotta piss. Entertain him, Dial.
Would my value in a trade be based upon my current output or my theoretical output with auto?
I think it depends on whether or not you're going to play with auto, to be honest with you, because I think obviously you're at your best when you're playing with auto, as just
As is
about
everyone.
everybody is, right? Like that's, it's kind of irrelevant, but that's where we've seen you have the most success as a forward. If you're going somewhere to play defense, I think that's a different story, and I don't know whether or not that's something you'd be open to doing, but I think there are more places that you could end up potentially on defense, maybe. But in terms of just being on offense, I really think New Jersey's the only place that makes sense for that. And I think as a result, by going to play with auto, I think that's where you'd have the most trade value. So that's sort of the way I look at it there anyway.
Okay. Interesting. Huh.
Anyway, I think we've touched on it enough. We've all provided some input as far as what we think are some likely trades to happen, some teams that are probably or most likely going to be involved in it. Like I said, I will consider putting out a live stream on Tuesday night while the trade deadline is going on. We'll see how the stats go and everything like that on Tuesday, what the sort of schedule looks like that day, whether or not there's actually time for it. So, but yeah, if there is, and if there are some trades to talk about or some rumors that sound like they're actually going to happen, I will put up a stream. We'll go until about 12 or 12:30. Whether or not Tony is there, it'll be up to him because it'll be real whisper hours for Tony. So maybe we can get like a GM on or two to talk to them about some of the trades they're making. So we'll see. But I'll let you guys know in the LHL Discord if we are going to do that at some point on Tuesday. So in the meantime, I wish everybody the best of luck this upcoming week. Sorry to the Sunday Night League guys we didn't get to talk to you about tonight, but obviously we had a lot to chat about, so we'll get back into you guys next week. And yeah, any final words, Kiwi or Tony?
This went too long.
Yeah, I went very long. I just want to say that I'm not trying to will my way out of LA. I love LA. Yeah, it's just I don't want this to come off the wrong way to people that I like Sam. So
And Taze, who you will be leaving behind.
yeah, me and him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He's gonna start smelling like milk really soon. I'm gonna smell it through the fucking Discord.
God. All right.
Just
So
15v15.
Yeah, that's true. There was the 15v15 game which happened, which was a epic 3-2 overtime victory for the blue team. So fun times. For those who didn't get to try it, it was interesting. I don't know. Did you played in it, right, Kiwi?
It was awful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was the type of thing that was fun for a game, and then after that, it's kind of like, okay, I could never do this again and be happy. So
so it's like 62.
yeah. Yep. So. Anyway, shout out to Migo and Payne for making that a possibility, and we'll see what other types of fun stuff they have in store for us in the future. But yep, in the meantime, good luck to everybody for this week. Hopefully, we have an exciting trade deadline. The Tuesday game should be really fun. So if you have downtime between any of your games, you should watch the other ones that are going on. That'll be really exciting. Plus the Friday game, Seattle versus Boston. Watch it. Watch it if you can. That's going to be game of the week for sure. So, all right, beyond that, have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you either on Tuesday or Saturday next week with a brand new guest.
Ooh.
And go play ranked pubs.